Hey, True Believers Englentine here, and we've got a treat. This is a great freaking story. I'm really looking forward to this. So says at least two of us. We just found out. Well, tonight on Throwback Thursday, we're going to be talking about The Golden Age by James Robinson. In all honesty, I think that I am doing a disservice too, because Paul Smith is a huge part as to why I think this book is incredible. Now, this is from Elseworld, although we don't really, I don't think there's not a lot as far as Elseworld is considered anymore, is there, Eric?
You mean as far as the way they do things now?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least for five minutes or so, they said that everything that happened in any story actually happened, but who knows?
It's multiversity.
Yeah, tune in next week and find something different.
So I've got this hardcover. Actually, I was very lucky. I found it at Ollie's, and this ended up costing me $5.99. I jumped on it. I was like, "Oh, get it!" You know, it was woo. I was so happy to find this. Say again?
Was it in a bouncy house?
It might as well be, because that's how I approached it. Woo! I can't wait.
Hey, Grotto. Hey, Jim. Hey, Colin, Marania, Joe.
Hello,
welcome.
Hello. Okay. So this is not your first time reading it, right, Eric?
No.
Okay, mine either. I must have read this thing about 10, 12 times already. It's just so good. I did read it with a 2021 eyes, though, with a 2021 mindset, and that actually has caused me to think about a few things. Now, this is your first time reading it, right, VENKMAN?
Yep.
And you have not yet been able to make it through it.
Nope.
So you are the dissenting opinion here while we go through this. And hello to Marania. I'm going to share out the screen a little again.
And I think it's because I don't really have a strong connection to the characters like you guys do, and that's probably why.
That might be. We'll go through it, and I think we could talk about it as we do. We're not going to spend a ton of time because there are 4 issues, but they are about, what, 40 pages each?
45 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the art's great, but it's a lot of words.
No, I'm on the DC universe. It's kind of like the what is it? The Marvel bit is over on Amazon, where you pay $9.99 and you get all sorts of Marvel comics. On DC universe, you get all sorts of DC comics. So thankfully, I've been able to go there so I can look through it. And hello to Almighty Jack. And so we could talk about the story as we're talking about what we felt and how we felt about it and everything. So here we go. The world was at peace. I'm not going to be reading through it, but in the beginning here, you do get a little bit about basically the World War II. And one of the things I do like about this is they do mention why superheroes weren't in the war. And sounded like you wanted to say something there.
No.
Okay.
It does tie into the JSA movie that they put out with the Flash.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
I'm just saying it does. They wanted to give all the credit to the soldiers.
Well, in this, they find out that there is a villain who has the power to take away a superhero's power.
Yep.
And they decided that the visuals of an American superhero being killed by the Nazis would have been too much. So the superheroes stayed out of the war and kind of protected the home front. And now that was the setup. That's the beginning. And they're talking about the homecoming. And there was still one son to come home. Bum, bum, bum. And it turns out to be Tex Thompson, otherwise known as Mr. America. Now, do you know anything about Mr. America there, Eric?
Not a whole lot. I haven't read a ton of Golden Age stuff, so I'm not. I wasn't even 100% sure he was an actual character, or if he was created for this story.
As a matter of fact, his first appearance is in Action Comics #1. So he's kind of like following the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. He just got buried, man. When he first appeared, he was more of a cowboy than he was an adventurer as we know it, and definitely not a superhero yet. Later, he got his little, what do they call it, the tricorner hat, and he took up the mantle of Miss, what was it?
Americommando.
Thank you. So there he is a real character, and he actually had his moment in the sun. And yes, this character that you've never heard of is going to if you want his first appearance, is going to cost you $2 million because of the other guy in the book.
No one's going to get this, but it's almost like trying to get John Hilton's rookie card because Mike Schmidt's on it with him.
There you go. Yeah, it's like who? Yeah, so he is actually a character, but one of the things that they do in the book is actually they're talking about how he wasn't. I mean, in this, they actually call him, and all New York has turned out to honor its greatest champion, Tex Thompson, Mr. America, the America Commando. And they even mention about how he wasn't anything. As Mr. America, Tex Thompson waged a one-man war on crime in the dark and dirty streets of New York. Now the natives of that great metropolis rise as one to cheer the return of the greatest of mystery men. And yeah, he was just nobody. But here, of course, we get this big to-do. Obviously, he did something great. And we actually find out that he is the guy who killed Adolf Hitler. Now, the gentleman... this fat gentleman right here, he's Mr. America or Americomando's sidekick. A lot of times in the Golden Age, before the teen sidekick, you had the goofball fat guy or some kind of version of that. So that's why we have him going on right here. And let's see, we'll move on. And then it goes to a shipyard, and we see them unloading something, and we see somebody jumping off the ship, and we find out that it is actually the Manhunter, and he's lost his memory, but he's nervous. He's scared. People are after him, and that's setting up part of the mystery of what's to come. So, okay, you get this now, Eric. How? I got to tell you, the first time I read this, I had no idea who anybody was.
And that's what I'm going through.
Well, yeah. So I take it you read it for the first time many, many years ago, like when it first came out, I guess. Or
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you hadn't read. I mean, I knew who everybody was except for the Americommando because I'd read All-Star Squadron and some All-Star Comics stories. So I said if I knew who Tex Thompson was, that one's just that had just fallen down the memory hole. Yeah,
well, that's part of what I'm talking. Obviously, I knew the Flash. I knew Green Lantern, and Hawkman shows up here. But I didn't know who Tex Thompson was. I didn't know who Manhunter Paul Kirk was, and all this kind of stuff. So to me, I'm learning as I'm reading. I'm like, okay, so this guy is. Why is he so nervous? What's going on with him? It drew me in because all of a sudden there's this mystery to be solved. And wow, England's first appearance in the comic book. I'm the fat comedic guy that's following around Tex Thompson. I would hope I would be a comedic sidekick to a better hero, though. Hello to Sup.
Do you want to be Woozy or Doiby then?
Yeah, I think I would go with Woozy. Woozy's good. I'm good with Woozy.
All right.
All righty. And Sebastian, how you doing? All righty. So let's get back to the story here. there you go. 1947, and a man speaks. The people listen. All the people to the president. His voice thick with emotion. As we see that Tex gets the Medal of Honor, and he's saying this isn't enough. It is nearly enough. And of course, that's when we find out that he had killed Hitler and all. And we cut to what all the other heroes are doing. And in this case, you've got Johnny Quick, and he's making a movie, but he doesn't want to do it as Johnny Quick. And you're going to find out a lot of them have decided to go into retirement, or they just got hurt, they got injured, or they went off to war. And that's where everybody's sitting. The mystery men are kind of over now. And now I got to tell you something here. We just saw The Flash. We just saw Jay Garrick. Did it bother you? Because I'm going to spoil a little bit of something we're going to get to. And what happened? I know Jay Garrick's in retirement, but when everybody's getting killed and beaten to death, you would think Jay Garrick would come back. He never shows up again in the book.
And that's one of the reasons I'm not liking it so far, because I'm like, where's Jay Garrick? I love Jay Garrick in Flash, and Hawkman is just off,
Hawkman shows up.
Yeah,
and then he's reading because he's in the 3rd issue.
I read in there, yes, I read through there, but he's briefly mentioned there. He's not really a part of anything.
Oh yeah, he is.
I'm on the 4th issue.
Read on.
Yep, read on, man. You're not even done with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would almost wonder if James Robinson forgot to put him back in at some point to at least explain. Because I thought, okay, did I miss something, or was he not in there? Because sometimes, especially now that I, don't have as much free time as I used to, I didn't read this, as probably as closely as I would have. And I go, did I miss something? I don't want to, better to say nothing and make people just think you're an idiot instead of, so I didn't want to say anything. But he wasn't even mentioned again.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe in that whole better to say nothing and let people think you're an idiot, otherwise open your mouth and prove it, because I've been proving it for 5 years. But he just kind of disappears off the face of the world as far as this book is concerned. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm wanting to. This is basically where we get where everybody went. Terry Sloan, his airline's up and running. He was good at everything. That's what made him Mr. Terrific. But everything is a lot to keep in line. It's diluted as intensity, and a costume hero needs intensity. And we find out that maybe he wasn't exactly the fair play when he got the deal for it. We also find out that Johnny Quick and the Liberty Bell were married. And then it goes on to tell the story as to why the heroes were not there. And of course, this is I got to say, this part right here where we meet oh my goodness, Alan Scott. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alan Scott and Johnny.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Where we find out what the Green Lantern's been up to. He's running a newspaper, and he's being hit by Huok. And this is brought up so much during the course of the book that he's got Huok on his tail. And I ended up being where I'm like, it's almost pro-communist. But the thing is, I've never agreed with the existence of Huok, the House of Un-American Activities. I've never been a fan of it. I didn't like how they went after people. That being said, I do know that modern day people, modern day communists have used our Constitution against us. And so now we see those same people who trying to silence voices on the other side, much the way they were trying to be silenced back in that particular day. He leaves a pause for you to answer.
Now you're on a roll.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I was just kind of trying to get your thoughts on that kind of stuff there. If you read into it, am I wrong? Am I reading it in a different way, or?
Well, I think it was putting a real world some real world consequences to this fictional story by inserting the House of Un-American Activities into this storyline. And it kind of made sense when you think about what happened to the JSA. As the legend goes, that they were forced to disband because they would not reveal their identities.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a natural progression that they would insert that into the story. And who better than Alan Scott, who was running a newspaper, and I think might have even had like a fledgling television company going too.
They actually mentioned that at the end. I don't know if I'm going to go to all 4 of these issues, but they do actually mention that at the end, that he decided to go where the wind blows and get into TV news rather than just print news. Colin's agreeing with me. Now, here's the thing. I read this when I was younger and I thought nothing of it. But now with the political climate the way it is, I actually saw it as more pro-communist than I ever had before. Going far beyond my own distaste for HUAC and so forth. Now, and that's just the way I believe. Look, I understand they can use it against me and end up going, well, yeah, but he's got to be silenced because he doesn't agree with us. But my morals stand, and you got to stand by your own principles.
Are you saying you think that James Robinson was being pro-communist in his storytelling?
I don't know. It started coming off, but once again, this is 2021 eyes.
I didn't get that.
Even in your reread?
No,
I could just be chasing ghosts. We've talked about that for a while.
We have.
If you do this video thing where you're picking little things apart and you find it, after a while you may be going hunting for it. And I always call it chasing ghosts. You see it where it isn't, and that could very well be a possibility of what's going on right here. So anyway,
now if I just throw in one more thing,
okay,
I would have liked to, if at some point in the story, if we found out that maybe Tex had been manipulating the people, if like he was behind the House of Un-American Activities, because then that would have made more sense that he was keeping his enemies,
busy.
Yeah.
They do mention something that Venkman mentioned right here. He says Alan looks into Johnny's eyes and sees how much the laughter has left them. Venkman finds this book to be depressing, you said.
Until issue 4, where it actually picks up.
Okay. All right. You see, I disagree with you. I love all the backstory. And one thing that I have to say is just absolutely amazing about this book is it's so well paced. I absolutely have to disagree with you on things here, Venkman, because this book takes 2 issues. One issue is completely set. The first issue is completely setting up the whereabouts of, as right here we see the Tarantula and the Liberty Bell. We find out what's going on with Johnny Quick. We find out what's going on with Starman. We find out what's going on with Green Lantern, excuse me. And then in the next issue, we move their story forward, but we're also introduced to Daniel Dunbar, who ends up becoming the big heavy for the. By the way, if you haven't noticed it yet, guys, spoilers alert.
How dare you?
And so by the third issue, what we get is we get all of the. That's the darkest before the dawn. That's the holy crap moment. That's the I can't believe what we're actually dealing with moment. So it literally takes 2 issues to get to know everybody. And so by the time the 3rd issue comes around, you're scared for those in danger. You realize the danger that they're in. I'm right now reading Heroes Reborn, which I actually thought the first issue was better than I thought it was going to be. But I think they went and got the Avengers out of their muddled thought a little bit too soon. We need to know the world. We need to know the darkness. So when the light comes, when the light shines in, it's just that much better. It's just that much more exciting. And I think this book properly paces that. Jim's saying it's been ages since I've read this one. This is such an amazing book. I love it. Eric, obviously I'm gushing over it. Where do you stand in this? Are you in the middle? Are you more on VENKMAN's side? Or are you more on mine?
No, it was. I remember when I first read it, I remember really, really liking it a lot. And I haven't read it. This is only my second time reading it because I said, I mean, you know how big my collection used to be. So there's not a whole lot I read more than once. And I thought, given how busy I've been lately, I'm not sure I'm going to have time to read this. I was reading this at 1:30 in the morning, right before bed, right after I woke up. I got to get these 4 issues finished because I'm now I remember why I liked this so much. It was one of those, I didn't want to put it down. I go, shoot, I'm running out of hours to sleep tonight. I got
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And look, we've been talking about with the story and all that kind of stuff. I'm always more focused on the story than the art. The art usually has to be incredibly bad for me to really even mention it, or incredibly good, because I'm just so focused on story. So that's why Riley Rosmo is so bad. But here, as you see, come on, guys. You got to say something good about Paul Smith, man.
I've loved him since his run on X-Men. But I think I just discovered a historical inaccuracy in this book.
No robots?
No, I said I'm trying to get into the feel of the 40s. Yeah, so I'm doing what everybody else did and smoking a heater.
Smoking, yeah.
I don't think I saw anybody smoking this series.
Not true, sir. In the beginning, you see
Johnny does.
Johnny is with Alan, and he actually asks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he gives him the.
Yeah.
He gives him. That's right.
And at first he says, "Well, no." He asks him, "Can you put that out?" And he goes, "What am I saying? Just light it up."
Yeah, and then he ends up giving him the pack on his way out. That's right.
I mean, they're smoking and drinking in this.
Yeah. And Almighty Jack said, "I can't believe you spoiled this story for everyone. Unsubbed. Trust me, even if I go through the entire thing and I tell you everything that happens, I'm not spoiling the story for you. It's that good. It is that very good." MK saying his collection used to be bigger than current. I can only imagine. 5
times bigger.
Wow. That is, mine too, but it was never, actually, that's not true. For a while it was as big. I just never had the freedom to make an entire room of it. All right.
Well, you had kids. I mean, it's.
Yep. Alrighty. So here we see the Robot Man taking out a couple of criminals. And I got to tell you, I had fun with that. But we also see that he's no longer trying to be a man. He's just accepting the fact that, you know what? I'm a robot. It says right here, there was a time when Robot Man's primary wish was to stress the man in his name. Times change. And he's walking down the street covered in the criminal's blood. Well, maybe VENKMAN's got a little point. It is a little bit darker.
Mm-hmm.
But you see Tex Thompson, he's going around making speeches. I love this country. I love what it is. The further greatness that it could become. I believe in America and in its future. Fellow Americans, listen to me. And he starts, I believe, calling for superheroes to come and join him. And he gets the Atom. The Atom comes up, and I love when he steps out and we actually see his the size and everything.
He's wearing one of those kid swings, right?
I think so. Yes. He went to the park. He jumped in the swing set and he couldn't get out of it, so he just undid the chains. Yeah. Let's see. What is it with men bragging about the size of their collections? Yes, size matters. All right, so here we go.
Because it always works so well with the ladies, Mariah.
Right. So they do some sort of experiment to Al Pratt, the Atom, and they find out that, in fact, whatever experiment they're trying to do will not work because Al Pratt is already irradiated, so to speak. And then we see, what was his name? Bob?
Yep.
He goes over to text Thompson trying to just, hey, remember me? I'm your sidekick. And he says, Bob, our friendship belongs to yesterday, Mr. America and Fat Man's time. Now I have to be remembered for my wartime exploits, not for what we went before the dumb costume. And he says, the dumb sidekick. To put it bluntly, it's all a bit of an embarrassment. You, Bob, are a bit of an embarrassment. You understand me? This is goodbye. I thought, holy crap, that is
how much a jerk he is.
Yeah, but then I saw this picture right here, and I went, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, he's got a broom.
I get it. Yeah, well, even if you're just a politician, you can't have the guy with a bucket in his head holding a broom.
In reality, that should have been for the first time reader. That should have been a huge red flag. Because if not, hey, we can still be friends. Even if it's one of those, when no one's looking kind of deals.
Yeah.
But he just severed all ties. So,
well, for me, not knowing this guy, I think it's the 40s. Maybe he's just been a jerk this whole entire time.
Well, no, they went out of their way to say that he wasn't at the beginning, and then you're seeing him. Oh. It's almost like it's obvious he's playing a part. And one of the things that, as we find out, and we'll reveal that in a little bit, this entity would not have empathy or know how to have it. So that's why he screwed up. That's something else that maybe should have been. It's at some point maybe in the story that guy, because I don't know. I guess he starts. Does he at some point put the pieces together?
No. Well, yeah, actually, isn't he the guy who meets up with Paul Kirk?
He does, yeah. He gets a Paul Kirk, rescues Kirk.
That is him?
Yeah, that is him. So, yeah, not only does he meet up with Paul Kirk, but he actually is one of the heroes fighting Tex Thompson at the end.
I love the line there. He's like, when he says to the waitress, he's like, great coffee, but sorry about your help.
Yeah.
She's like, what? They leave.
Yeah, we'll get there. Wow, Bob was proto Forbush man, and Joe Rogers is saying kind of like old-fashioned welding gear. Oh, once again, as I say, I will say this in all of my live streams now. While you do not need a super chat to get your voice heard here, it most certainly is appreciated. As I'm trying to get up to $100 because that's when YouTube actually pays out. So if you feel the kindness in your heart, by all means, drop a
for measly $1.99. You can insult me and it'll be read.
There you go. All righty. Also, I got to tell you, I liked this segment where we're following Rex Tyler, the Hour Man, because he says 4:07 when I took the pill, and for an instant I felt the familiar pain that's almost pleasure. I was a knight for an hour. And so we see how he went and he fought the icicle.
That was cool.
Tomorrow it might be the gambler, the mist, or some other costumed fool wanting to see bars at his windows for the umpteenth time. Nowadays, they seem to lose out a habit. I beat the icicle as usual, delivering the knockout punch just before I felt my powers ebb. So what happened? What terrible thing happened today? The power left me. I looked at my timepiece. It was 4:31, and Hour Man's power had only lasted 24 minutes.
Yeah, that's sad.
So, what did you think of the as we're going to go through it, but the Hour Man segment here, as you saw. See, I'm watching this, and I thought it was exactly what should be happening, because if Hour Man is always taking this pill, maybe he does get used to it. Maybe his body kind of begins to fight against it.
That's, I think, at older age now. His body doesn't react like it would when he was younger.
Well, that's something that comes with grown up storytelling. I'm sure in the golden age, it was just he took the pill, he had powers for an hour.
Yeah,
and that was his. That's what he had. That was his cross to bear. But you know, as storytelling evolved, you think, okay, if you're taking a pill every hour of every day, there are going to be consequences eventually. And I think that's what this story deals with.
Yeah, you would think his body after a while it would just like from wear and tear it would just fall apart because it's it's the drug as a side effect like that. But I did like that though. I liked him fighting crime there. I mentioned the icicle and stuff like this. I do love the Iron Man parts. Okay. I just wished we would have had Jay Garrick in there, being science bros. And somebody's tearing papers.
No, he's turning the. He's looking.
I know.
I can tell he's looking ahead. He's trying to figure out where we are all along, right?
I'm looking for something here.
In the book itself, or are you on?
Yeah, in the book itself.
Ah, okay. All right, let's go. So here we see, of course, somebody going up to Robot Man, and we see Robot Man is just in a warehouse sitting, and it actually says he's not making any extra movements because a robot never would, and he gets recruited by Tex Thompson. All right, and then of course the next day we see Starman. Now this one kind of freaked me out.
Yeah, this is creepy
because Ted Knight. Wait, it's Ted Knight, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who knew, right?
but it said Theo Knight on the door though.
Wow, I never put it together. Ted Knight. Okay. Meanwhile, back at the asylum, we see that he's actually losing it because he helped Einstein create the bomb.
Yeah.
And when they dropped it on people, he sees it as he killed those people. So he even said, "I was so happy. I was working with Einstein, and we came up with the theory, and we came up with the atom bomb, and it ended up killing a whole bunch of people."
Is this the Bushwood Clinic?
The Bushwood Clinic? Why?
Buy Bushwood.
Oh. Right. Let's see. Hello, Eloise. How are you doing? We're talking about the Golden Age tonight. And then, of course, we see Paul Kirk. He's having these nightmares. And he says, it doesn't matter. Wherever you sleep, the dream remains the same. The dream of men with accountants' faces and surgeons' scalpels. You are a hunter, big game, blood. This sight shouldn't scare you. It shouldn't sicken you, but it does. It does force yourself to look over the shoulders, fight the fear, the nausea, and see the eagle, feathers white and brown, now stained with crimson. Then the dream shifts as dreams do, and you, Paul Kirk, are no longer looking over the surgeon's shoulders. The dream remains the same. You awaken breathless and thankful you're able to. You know you need help to remember, help to confront what you've managed to forget. If only you trusted anyone to ask. The room smells like. I love this whole bit because he woke up because he sensed danger. And then we see people coming in, and they said, which one's Kirk? And they just said, I don't care. Kill all of them. And they do. And when they finally see where Kirk is, they just shoot, including a priest. A priest steps in because he's in a what do they call these, homeless shelter?
Yeah.
And the priest gets killed. Paul Kirk jumps out of the window, and they fire at him. He gets hit a couple of times, it looks like. And he runs off. But I always thought that was just a really cool, kind of riveting scene. And then we cross over. We see we go back to Ted Knight, and we get back to Starman here, and he's a different guy. And they even mentioned it before that at night he's a little bit better. He's a little bit more with it. And it cuts to Daniel Dunbar, the dynamite, and he's flunking out of college, and he hears that he may be needed. So he goes and he volunteers for Tex Thompson's experiment. And that's when we go to issue number 2. Alrighty. So overall, what do you think of issue number 1?
Good setup.
Alrighty. How about you, Venkman?
Like, it was slow, but I do like certain parts. I like the Starman thing, and I like the Hourman.
The Hourman. What about the Paul Kirk stuff?
The Paul Kirk was confusing because I had never read anything about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like tripping balls on with his dreams.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what his dreams were meant to be. If he's just going paranoid, like on Winter Soldier, the one former Bucky guy, is he just going crazy? I mean, it was interesting, but like I said, but other than that, I don't know anything about the guy. So he's a manhunter.
Because I didn't either when I read it. I was able. It worked for me because.
But the art is good though. The art is.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, but
it was confusing one because I had no idea what was going on. I just know that people are after him and he's having these bad nightmares, and it's just like, and then he's got this other guy, the former sidekick, just gonna try and help him later on in the book. But still, it's like. I think if I would have known more about these characters, I probably would have understood the book more.
Oh, and by the way, Richard Ory, you see his name here. He's the colorist, and as much as Paul Smith's art is awesome, and James Robinson's writing to me and to Eric is awesome. You got to say the colors are popping.
Well, the amount of detail on this, down to the little detail, and then the color really helps accentuate and make it pop.
Is an anchor credited in this story?
Let's see. We have I'm looking
on Wikipedia.
No.
It just shows Richard Ory being colorist, and the artist is Paul Smith.
And lettered by John Costanzo.
Because I'm sure you're familiar with Eduardo Barreto's art.
Yeah.
That's what this kind of looks like. It's almost like the finishes make, because if you go back and read the X-Men or the Doctor Strange runs that Paul Smith had, the art doesn't look like this. This looks, the structure's there, but the finishes aren't. And it looks like whoever put the finishing touches on this must have done a lot of Eduardo Barreto's art, because that's what it reminded me of.
Okay. And Dominic is saying issue 1 gave JSA Golden Age a strong start. The Paul Kirk Manhunter portion was disorienting. However, it comes off as intentional due in part to Manhunter's suffering as an amnesiac. All righty, let me.
Okay, it says that. Okay, I'm looking at fan DC thing. It says Paul Smith did the penciling, the writing, and the inking.
Well, there you go.
Or sorry, Paul Smith did the penciling and the inking, not the writing. That's James Johnson.
All right, so let's see. We start off and we see Johnny Quick, and he's actually saying that he finished his movie a long time ago, but he doesn't have a significant ending. Foreshadowing. And he's still into the Heroes movie that he's already done, because he's a documentarian, because he can't drop the fact that the only superhero that's making any kind of news, or mystery men as they call him in the book, is Tex Thompson, whose meteoric rise in both the Senate and the people's hearts was furthered on that chilly morn, February 5th, 1948, when he put the hero back in superhero. Something about him. I'm uneasy. And we see him talking. I'm not now, nor have I ever been one to hide behind veiled words and political rhetoric. My opinions, my political goals are a matter of public record. It's for you, the people, to decide if I'm the man you want to represent you. If my goals mirror your own, you know where I stand on Russia, the threat to democracy I feel it poses, and you know I feel we should meet that threat head on. You know my admiration for the noble, valiant efforts of the HUAC to keep these shores cleansed of the bloody red stain that's spreading across the rest of the world. This leads us to my dream, also public record, of a government-backed group of mystery men and superheroes to take on, to vanquish the Russian threat nationally or internationally, anywhere freedom and democracy are wanting. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was my dream, and now it's become a reality. Look who I have here. This is my brave corps, 3 brave Americans willing to serve and protect their country And it shows the Atom, the diminutive Dynamic Justice Society member, is known to you all, I'm sure. Robot Man 2, he has more than proven that beneath his metal shell is a brain, a soul, an all-human, all-hero. And as for this young man, Step 4, don't be shy, he says. Few remember TNT, a superpowered mystery man who gave his life guarding the wartime home effort, or home front as it says. Fewer still remember his sidekick, Dan the Dynamite Daniel Dunbar. But that is going to change, and remember him you will. Tests made on Daniel have proven his body chemistry is perfectly suited to experiments that my team of scientists are conducting. Experiments that will transform Daniel Dunbar into the greatest, mightiest champion this country's ever seen. And I got to tell you something. I'm afraid of that kind of thing. I'm afraid that is the kind of thing certain governments would do. Certain, even American politicians might do, where they're going, I want this police force answerable only to the government. I want this superhero group only answerable to the government. That is a scary thought to me. What says you, Eric, or VENKMAN?
Wasn't there a Justice League story where they only wanted they were hunting down the Justice League because the Justice League weren't working for the government? They wanted them to know their identities. Yeah,
Major Ealing, and he was part of it, and they had the one dude that I gave Aquaman the bends. Yes, that was one of the things.
I'm thinking of New Frontier. I think that's what it was. The one that the animated movie. I think they were doing that too, and hunting down on that one.
Let's see. Dominic is saying one of my favorite aspects of the miniseries is the seamlessness. One of my favorite aspects of the miniseries, how it blended history with the DC universe. Thompson says, seems to be too good to be true. The villain hiding behind the mask of a hero. And Dominic says, oh, you have no idea, Maranya. Exactly. Is it me, or is this paralleling how Tony Stark brought Peter Parker Spider-Man into the limelight in the beginning of the first Civil War?
Well, yes and no. Because the yes is obvious, but the no, as I said, anybody that's finished this story.
We're going to get to that, I'm sure. It looks like I said, we're not going to go page by page, but yeah, I guess we are. But
no, we're not.
No, we're not. I'm thinking I don't want to carry it into. I don't want to tell the big secret.
Well, at the very end, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to walk through these parts because this is where basically we are getting more of who they're with. John Law, the Tarantula, he wrote a book about superheroes and he's not able to write anymore, so he hit the bottle. And
he almost pulled a Hank Pym there.
He did pull a Hank Pym later in the series. And spoilers. So we also see everybody getting set to run the experiments on Daniel Dunbar, and we also see Starman working around it and doing things and so forth and so on. What did you think? Did you have any? Were you like the first time I'm bringing it back? I read it so I could talk about it and remember it a little bit more, but I do remember the first time I wasn't trying to figure stuff out. I'm a person that, even with mysteries, even when I saw Knives Out, I prefer to go with the story. If it's a good story, my brain turns off and I let it take me to wherever it wants to go.
Well, all I'll say is when I was reading this again, I did not remember the twist until it happened. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't, I couldn't remember what made this story so unique and interesting. So when I was reading this, I wasn't trying to solve a mystery before it was revealed. So to your point, I was just kind of like letting the story. Going with the story.
If it's a really good book, it can just take you to wherever you want to go. Hello to Critzable. How you doing today? And we're just talking James Robinson's Golden Age. All righty. So then we get more of the fact that Huok's going after his writers, and one of them ended up committing suicide. And his secretary comes in. Mr. Scott, you won't believe, downstairs the jewelers, a robbery. He goes, robbery, and the thief is a sportsmaster who is one of the Green Lantern's villains. And the writers go, oh my gosh, we got to get down. We have to cover this. And he says, no, I'll go one last time because it's close and it's the sportsmaster and because I'm angry. And of course, we find out that it's one of the sportsmaster's last crime because he wants to steal a ring to try to get his wife back. And Alan Scott jumps in like he would for the Green Lantern. I love the fact that he threw the newspapers first to distract. And when he jumps in, he leads with his hand. Like he's gonna, but he's not wearing his ring. Forget it, Sportsmaster, it's over. The way the blonde suit moves, the roll of his shoulders, his voice, and no one else that tall, even without the mask and cape. Damn bloody ring. Croc recognizes him. Too many beatings not to. And the Sportsmaster is going, green latrine.
This was cool because you get to see him without using his ring as a crutch. It's like Iron Man without a suit getting into a fight with somebody. And you're just getting, and it's a fair fight.
Uh-huh. Well, you would think it wouldn't be because the Sportsmaster has all of his weapons and basically it's a baseball bat.
But we're seeing how we're seeing how tough Alan Scott is. He doesn't need his ring.
Yeah, I love this part right here though, because like I said, he led with his fist, I guess, and he's like missing something, and he's like, nothing important. Mm-hmm. I like that, man. That is a good slap down without being insulting. And Sportsmaster's, show me what you got. Croc had married, become a father, and then divorced. His wife had vanished, taking their daughter Stacy with her, taking a piece of his heart. He hoped, prayed the spoils of his crime would be enough to get her back. For his daughter's sake, Croc knows he can't give up. Besides, no ring means payback. And just he's thinking this while Alan Scott's beating the tar out of him. That's a man that has lost everything and only has hope. And he shoots him and ends up beforehand. He shot the security guard, and they just kind of. He's like, I failed. And he goes, we're only human. And they just kind of slump up against the wall together. Man, this book's so good. And in this one, we finally see the test that they're running on Daniel Dunbar. And I don't know if the screen is even going to do it justice here. But in the comic book, especially in the trade paperback, this is a 2-page spread kind of nuclear blast.
That's America in less than a year.
Come on, man.
All right. Come on, man. If you're not in a nuclear war. Yeah. MK says, one of my favorite government versus JL stories or JL members versus government was Batman, Superman, Public Enemies. Yeah, that was a good story. I gotta concur on that one. That was pretty good.
Yeah, if you aren't seeing this as a 2-page spread, then you ain't reading the trade.
Hold on just a second. Yeah, because then let me see if I can't find it here. I should have looked before I shut it down, shouldn't I? A smarter man would have. No, there you go. Yeah, because in the book, it's this right here.
Oh man, the views are dropping. You closed the art.
I know, right? This is the reason. This is the reason to get the physical, the guys. So there you go.
So you can hurt yourself lifting the book.
Yeah. Yeah, I hurt myself just picking the book up. All right, let's get back. I told you this is a damn good book, man. I don't know how far I want to go into it though, because there's so much good. All right, so I by the way, everybody else is like, what a vision. You aren't here as a spectator, and Tex Thompson's just back there like, yeah, and systems, life support, heart and respiratory systems fine, blah, 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 all's good. And they realize that he's okay, everything's fine. And we get the fact that we cut to where we see the Atom is recruiting people, and it's Johnny and the Thunderbolt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently nobody liked him. That's one. I don't know if that was true. I don't remember if he was a non-respected member of the Justice Society.
No, that wasn't. That again, this is an Elseworld story, so you can tweak the personalities a little bit.
Yeah, but they play him off as very much like that. Like he's irresponsible. He's got a thunderbolt, and that's what makes him.
But they need to do that because of what happens at the end of the story.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Basically, he was sacrificed for a plot point.
Eric, you want to read that comment that just popped up?
Which one? Almighty Jax?
Yeah.
If you had 49 minutes for he breaking his back and stream,
you won. There you go. All righty. The respect I get.
Warner Wolf even makes it into Thursday nights now.
Aye vey.
He'll probably fudge it up.
Let's see what comic. Well, thank you very much for answering. It's this right here. Crits, we're talking every Thursday. We look at an old story with a reputation, good or bad, and we're gonna ask if it's really that good, if it's really that bad. Tonight we're looking at James Robinson's JSA, which basically me and Eric are filleting all throughout this entire video, and Venkman didn't care for it as much.
I'm getting the feeling that the more we talk about, that might be growing on him a little bit.
Well, I said as soon as I get to the fourth issue where all the action takes place, and it's like, holy crap!
There's action all throughout it, though.
It's not like issue 4. Issue 4 it just starts off.
In Venkman's defense, we've been doing this for 45 years apiece. We have read everything everything pillar to post. This isn't Venkman's ballywick.
This isn't my wheelhouse.
And but I get the feeling, like I said, that he's going to come out of this with a little better feeling about it than he went in.
This is almost like educating Venkman. Here's a story you should try. So yeah, I get it. But you know what? You gave good or bad, whether you like a story or not. If we say, hey, we're checking this book out next week, please. If you can find it, read it so you can join the conversation. And yes, I'm reading comments and everything from you guys as well. So when we say that kind of thing, if you check out a new story, that's awesome. Now you might not like it. You might say, well, you know what, guys, this week's a pass. This week I didn't like it, and here's the reasons. That's awesome. But at least you tried it. At least maybe you found something new, or you revisited something you used to like and you haven't visited before, or you just so happen to be reading a story that you've picked up 1,000 times, and you know what? One more time won't hurt. That's kind of how I did with this one.
Rereading it's based on the fact you actually know who the characters are. Do you appreciate it more?
As I said, I looked at it with 2021 eyes, and I saw a little bit more of the pro-communist stuff, and I think Eric kind of set me straight on that maybe I'm chasing ghosts. As far as the other stuff, it had been probably about 6 or 8 years since I've read this story again. And, I'm very, very happy with it. I was able to this time, since I'm not as emotionally tied to it as I was before, I was able to read it with more analytical mind.
Because my JSA knowledge is limited to what I'm reading in the 1999 series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so going back to this is like holy crap, we're going into big boy in depth look and everything. I was like, this is like I would probably feel better if this was like a miniseries or an animated movie.
Because you probably were on step 1 of learning about the JSA, and this is kind of step 4.
It's like this is step 40. You're level 40. I'm like, I just killed the squirrel. I'm at level 1.
This story.
Oh man, you almost had it coming out my nose there.
This story is better served for people who did read All-Star Squadron.
Yeah,
and at the very least, I had that knowledge.
And
I had read
I said the only person that probably could have done this story justice would have been if Roy Thomas had written it.
Yeah.
I
And
think
I was
did a
kind of shocked that
fantastic
Roy
job.
Thomas wasn't on this.
And maybe we shouldn't have let Venkman on the show, but invited Zach Richmond. So yeah, we got the wrong co-host there, Eric.
Is Zach
Well,
even here?
you don't want a circle, you want to have people who have different opinions.
No, actually, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because you are the outsider on this one.
I'm not a yes man,
and I'm
you
so
don't pay
happy
me for that.
All right,
It's
so
Yes, ma'am.
all right, so we do see that Al Pratt was put into recruiting. Johnny Thunder's voice is a high-pitched grating drone. Not that Al Pratt is listening. Dunbar gets the glory. I get recruiting and administration, thinks Pratt. I get an office, an off-white office with no window. And he kind of puts him down saying, Johnny, you were never a hero. You're always just a weird guy we put up with because you have a pet Thunderbolt. But, of course, he does get him, and then we get introduced to Daniel Dunbar. And basically, he's Superman. Because he's got flight, he's got speed, he's got the invulnerability.
Now, I was kind of throwing out that too because I've heard different things, so versions of the JSA where they have the original Trinity, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are involved and everything, and then this they're not. So it's like, and I don't know if that's, remember that was the post-Crisis, they got rid of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is after Crisis, like a spinoff?
This is an Elseworld story, so it could have whoever they want.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, Crisis happened what, in the 80s, right?
Yeah, 86.
Yeah.
The greatest year for comic books ever. Yeah. Alrighty, so,
and
yeah.
Green, I renounced my friendship with you. I saw it.
And, of course, he has fists that have the percussive force of an A-bomb. He is the champion of a new age, the atomic dawn, the future, according to Tex Thompson. He is Dynaman. Daniel Dunbar, the young man with the glint of sun in his eyes and his smile, amazing being who sprang from the ashes of an atomic test and into America's hearts.
I kept wanting to read it as Dynamite.
And basically he gives a speech and he's talking about how he's going to remove his helmet, and all of the heroes, if they are truly American heroes, would come and they would pledge themselves to the government, and they'll take the battle to Russia and to China.
Mark Close there with Russia and China.
Yep. And right here,
change.
Say again.
The
more things change, the more they stay the same. Yep. So he asks if he's invulnerable, and the guy who ran the test says Dunbar's superpowered in many ways. It would take an infinite amount of punches and blows or bullets to hurt him, but his ability to resist injury is related to his energy level. And Tech says, so if he was tired, it might be possible to damage him. He says, yes, although his stamina is limitless, in theory, he'll never tire. So seem I'm wrong. Dynaman is invulnerable. And of course, you get more of the fact that, if you're a superhero, you should come and pledge, we're for the people, blah, 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 and yada, yada. And this is where we're introduced to Miss America. And I do believe it's some, oh, no, that's where it is. Oh, and then, of course, Captain Triumph steps in. Guys, I don't know how much more I want to spoil of this story for people. Hello, Substance D. I love comics also. Well, that's good to know. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. So should we go further? Should we go all the way to the end of 2, or should we just say, you know what, guys?
Okay, I have an idea.
All right.
Why don't we talk a little bit more about this, and why don't we come back next week, give everybody that wants to a chance to go out and read the story, and then we can all talk about it at its conclusion next week.
Well, I've got a whole other story for next week, though. I want to visit another story.
Yeah, but are you planning on canceling the show after next week?
No, of course not.
Well, then just move that back 1 week also.
I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Wow, a lot of the guys have that hairstyle, which looks like a toupee on the top of a bald head.
Well, Tex Thompson looks like every leading man other than Robert Taylor that didn't quite make it in the 40s.
He looks like Howard Stark.
Well, Bill, who looks like
he looks like every other,
Howard Stark,
Yeah.
Vincent Price,
and Daniel Dunbar had that
there?
hairstyle. Yeah,
yeah, he's got that. Brother, where art thou?
And
Yeah.
Tex has Jimmy Cagney working in the lab with him.
that's true.
Wait, is he wearing a sports ball helmet?
Yeah, it looks like it does. It looks like a sports ball helmet.
No wonder Eric likes this.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we are introduced to Captain Triumph, and we find out that once again, this is a guy who's just given up. His brother merges with him whenever he touches a tattoo, and he's dead. So he's always bothering him. Touch a tattoo. I want to be Captain Triumph. I want to be Captain Triumph. That's basically all he says throughout this entire book, while Lance Gallant is like, no, I'm going to make it like myself. And it even says right there that Lance Gallant has millions and he'd trade them all for one day of peace. And then we check back in with the Hour Man to see how his pill popping is going. I tested and retested the pill countless times before this evening for strength levels and how fluctuations in my body chemistry might alter the pill's effects. Epinephrine rushes were tested for and counted against. I'd prepared for everything, or so I thought. And to be honest, at the time, I was enjoying myself too much to care, up to the point when the thing pulled a gun. For an instant, I felt fear. An instant was enough. I'm still trying to work out what happened. Guesswork tells me that the fear altered my body's chemical balance. Hypothalamus may be Miraclo, and fear causing it to allow too much pituitary activity affecting my central nervous system. At least I think. All I know is at the time, my world dissolved and he goes on a big ass trip. I just thought this was funny. It's like because he got scared and he was on the Miraclo pill, he goes on a freaking acid trip where finally when he makes it home, he basically says, I know what I am, and it scares me, but I know I'm an addict. I loved that freaking part of the story, man, when they find out that Our Man has become addicted to the drug that makes him a superhero. That's really good storytelling, my friends. I dug on that.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, that's something they would have never been able to get away with when Our Man, in the Golden Age and in the Silver Age, that would have just never flown.
Oh yeah, they would have figured something out. Robot Man reminds me of the dude from Doom Patrol. I wonder if that's where they got the inspiration from. What do you say there, Eric?
I'm guessing so. Kind of in the same way that there was a Human Torch at Timely in the Golden Age, and then when the Fantastic Four was created, because really the only difference is the origin story and the color of the robot.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, like you said, you see that kind of thing all the time. Green Lantern was inspired by Green Lantern, but isn't Green Lantern.
Right.
So, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. DC is notorious for doing this. All righty. And we get more speeches. And let's see. I believe in redemption. I believe if you give someone the incentive to atone, they'll jump at the opportunity. If that belief means I'm crazy, then yes, I'm a lunatic. And we find out that the Tigress, who is a supervillain, decided to go over to Tex Thomas' side, Miss Paula Brooks. And Lance here falls immediately head over heels. I love this part because he goes in and he's talking to her. And he's like, she's the one I'm going to marry. And every guy's had this. Every guy's had this where she walks away and she's thinking, good for a weekend in Palm Springs. Maybe nothing more, but nothing more. Yikes. Well, I had a good time, guys. I think we're going to see each other again. And the girl has no interest. She's just not that into you.
Only if she knew him, because having his dead brother floating above him scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
I gotta watch you do it, son. Oh, that's good. No good.
It's just creepy. Why are you like this? Why are you doing this?
Who did he talk to? Oh, just my dead brother. Is he watching us right now? Yeah.
Yeah, and so we find there's guys still chasing after Paul Kirk and
the Men in Black.
They are the Men in Black, and that's when Bob Daly, excuse me, not Paul. Bob Daly actually sees him and goes, "Hey, you're Paul Kirk," and that scares him because he's still an amnesiac. And Bob's like, "Dude, you know me," and so he takes him to a diner to talk, and you get a little bit more of his story and the fact that he's being hunted. And this is where the line comes to, because Bob's saying, "Why don't you come on with me and we'll take care of you." And he says he pays for the meal. He says, "Good coffee. Sorry about your hired help, though." And he just takes them. And there you go. And that is what goes on with them. Of course, the men that are following him attack the cars, and we get, well, what's that? Another action. There's a lot of action in this book. What are you talking about?
A lot?
Yes.
This is a pebble compared to the last issue. I'm sorry.
No, compared to the last issue. It's like the last issue is basically, hey, you guys remember what happened in the last three? Okay, good. Go. You know?
It's like, it's all he needed was like 5 minutes of just telling the story, and it's like, let's just beat each other up.
Yeah, I mean, it really does change. I love this movement, though, because then you see it in Sin City about 5 years later.
Yeah, right.
Where he just jumps right through the car windshield and starts beating the crap out of him. And goes over. We see Bob save him, and I don't know. It's
and he throws his belt in there.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Or or the guy jumps out and he throws his belt and the guy holds onto it.
Yep. And there you go.
And then Gil complains in the background.
Oh, and then we get what's her name? We show Tex Thompson. We show Tex Thompson putting his diary away, and that's very, very important. He comes down to talk to Daniel Dunbar, and he goes, "All goes well." What did you say? Our plans, our itinerary goes well. Truman's in the White House. I knew he'd win this year. That I was too new in the arena to compete. Says, but in 52, things will be different. I'll run, I'll win, I'll become president, and we will rule America. He goes, no, you're wrong. By then, you'll have convinced the country to attack Russia and China. By then, and with me and other super beings doing the fighting, victory is assured. Therefore, in 1952, when you're elected president, we'll rule the world.
This is what it picked up for me.
Yeah, but like I said, and I agreed on this point, that the first two issues are all set up. That is certain of it.
Yep.
Now that's another. That should have been another gigantic red flag. That the supposed hired help,
the guy who
is dictating to Tex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, do you want to take a minute to cover the wife?
I would love to cover the wife, and
no. Say because when Twiddles gets too loud, you say I gotta cover the bird.
Oh yeah, I know, right? She's very loud downstairs. Y'all can hear him. Yeah, y'all want to say hello since everybody could hear you? Yeah.
And if you tell her I said that, I will deny it, even though I'm on film.
All right.
That's not me.
Yeah, the color in this sets the mood, dark with only the important parts highlighted. It really is a great, it is artistically a great book as well. I don't know if I want to go, if you guys want us to cover because we've already hit the 1 hour mark.
I want to do next week because I want to read it again between now and then.
We're at 23 people, bro. We can't stop.
Okay, we'll go forward.
All right.
We'll go forward. Why not? But, okay, so issue number 2, Venkman, what did you think? Because you're the one, we're going through it again, and as we're talking and we're explaining some things, are you appreciating it more than when you were reading it by yourself, or is it still like
even when I was reading by myself, there are certain parts that overall I just didn't care for it because it's all set up. I was like, okay, I understand they're setting it up. And then I said, when you get to that part where you see like they talk about, you're gonna rule the country, and then we're gonna rule the world together. And I was thinking like, and then you're thinking about this guy. This guy is famous for killing Hitler.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then it's like something's going on here, something, and then like, and just the way, and you said like the way he's acting subtly different, like, something is really happening. So that intrigued me. So then I kept going into issue 3. In issue 3, then you get to deal with Hawkman, and the revelation, and it's like, holy crap. And then issue 4 is like, hey, Venkman, you want to read this? I'm like, hell yeah, I do.
Okay, so I got to tell you, when I first read this, I thought it was the Perils of Fame, because when we first meet Daniel Dunbar, he's kind of quiet. He's obviously not an overachiever. And when you see him in this one, he's snorting coke and talking about ruling the world. And I just thought it was the press, how famous changed him, how he's realized he is more powerful than everybody.
Could be the experiment too.
Yeah, and so I didn't put it together. I wasn't thinking about where this is going. So I'm going to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to continue the story. There is a twist. And this is where the story becomes incredibly spoiler heavy. The beginning was all set up. So if you don't want to hear us talk about it and you actually want to read it for yourself, I recommend you find it. I know it's on the DC app. That's what we're looking at. That's where the visuals are coming from. I would highly recommend you get the book as well. Yeah, we're going to keep going, and we're going to spoil the out of this thing. There's after issue number 3. There's no going
it's
back.
Called the Golden Age, but they did change it to saying just a society, the Golden Age.
Yeah.
So, you can find the trades on Amazon for pretty cheap.
And we should release the Twiddles cut.
We got the Gale cut instead.
Twiddles kills Truman with a cable car. And Sebastian says he read it as it was coming out. Me too.
I like that. You had Twiddles inside the cable car, and then you had Angleton in a helicopter, and he's like, "Get me closer. I want to see his face."
Yeah, there you go. All righty. So everybody's with us. All right, let's hit issue number. Oh, let me share it out there.
For those who know what that is, go check out Extreme Movie Show.
And let me get rid of the Microsoft telling me that, hey, we found nothing wrong with what you're looking at. Thank you for telling me that, because that's what's important.
I have this wire bites every hour. It pops up, says like, I found nothing. I'm like, thanks.
I'm glad.
I know, right? I can't complain. I'm like,
yeah. All righty. So here we go. And so what do you think about the covers?
Is there variance?
Give them that much. I didn't really give them a lot much thought. I mean, as they were coming out, they were kind of striking, but most prestige format covers do jump. Yeah,
I got to tell you, and I'm a little bit different on that. I mean, when they came out, they had the embossed Golden Age on top, but I was thinking, looking at it, and thinking of, especially when when it comes to mind, people like Venkman who don't really know these characters, not a lot to be said, in all honesty. I don't know if I like the first one. The first one to me really does stand out, though.
Well, I mean, I like that he's like only a little bit away from basically looking like Ming painted blue.
This Ming's a psycho. All right.
Or the Phantom, as I said, like I said, the Manhunter, is he related to anything like the Guardian of the Galaxy stuff? Or not, no. Green Lantern, sorry. Green Lantern.
Nope. Well, yeah, they were. The Manhunters were the first.
Yeah,
but they predated the Green Lantern Corps.
Was he? Yeah, but is he that kind of Manhunter? I thought he was just that's a costume.
I want to say that it depends. I think they've tweaked it so many times that at one time he might have been.
Oh, okay.
So he's not like Vision. He's not a robot. He's
no. He's
okay.
No, he's not. You know, then eventually Manhunter became Mark Shaw in the Simonson Archie Goodwin featuring Detective Comics. But
all right, let's.
Man, look at that. That is total sports ball.
I know, right? Let's go through this. It says 1949 began like all years with the aftertaste of the year prior still in people's mouths and on people's minds. It began with Senator Tex Thompson's vision of a politically correct superhero spread nationwide, heard of in countless speeches and seen on countless billboards. And that is absolutely propaganda right here. I mean, that is great propaganda. All righty. And the decade dwindled. Let's see. Oh, and we see that the Liberty Bell has gotten a job on TV. We see that what's his name? This guy with the Miracle pill.
Is that Armin?
Is still having a hard time fixing the pill, and we've got Johnny Quick still working on documentaries. This film's easier. I'm not as close to the subject.
Whoa, pause. Go back. I'm seeing a side-by-side comparison between you and our man.
That's right. I am addicted to pills that give me strength for an hour. Yeah. At this point, I
these pills make me awake enough so I can read the comics.
Right. Let's see. And then, of course, we see that that Alan Scott is having trouble with more Huok stuff, and that people are now beginning to pull their advertisements. That Captain Triumph's dead brother still wants to hit the tattoo. That isn't worth our time. And Gallant's trying to get a hold of the Tigress, and she's kind of playing him. How was it saying? He's playing him anyway. She's got
that early Black Widow look.
And that Tex Thompson and Miss America is now in a relationship, while Tarantula is still not having a good time writing, saying, "In my head, there's brilliance, and on the page, it turns to crap," and he starts drinking again. And
he went from like Ben McKenzie to Bill Pullman real fast. Go back and look.
Yeah, you're right. He does kind of look like Bill Pullman. Wow.
Alcohol, man. It's killer.
Adam thinks it sucks that he's in recruitment. We've got Johnny Thunderbolt thinks it's great that people are paying attention to him. And Daniel Dunbar is doing more blow while Hawkman is being Egyptian and Kirk is having nightmares. And that's where we stand, ladies and gentlemen. And that, my friends, is damn good storytelling, because in spite of me going panel to panel, that's a page. You remember storytelling, ladies and gentlemen, that they where they would actually tell a whole bunch of story in just one page of the book? That's that right there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, while this is here,
okay, it's 2 pages. 2 pages in a modern book. I've said this before, is a guy falling out of a window. Oh my God, Flip. That's good storytelling.
That's coming later in this issue.
What you don't understand is 2 pages before that, he's debating if he should jump out the window.
All right, and they're actually here. You keep talking about red flags and knowing what's going to happen at the end of this issue. They're talking about Daniel Dunbar, and he says, let's see, the exhibitions of his strength and power that have been held across the country, though almost are almost as extraordinary, are the young man's skills as an orator.
Which is speaker.
And it shows him talk to a whole bunch of kids, make a promise, keep a promise. And they're all paying attention and everything. And we see why there's Daniel Dunbar taking a moment to be introduced to rising movie starlet Doris Day, and that he's enjoying the life of a celebrity. And they're talking about 1949 began like any year, and we go and we see Starman, who is made an even smaller version of the cosmic rod. And in his depression, he flies up into the air, and then he says, "It could be easy. All I got to do is let go of the rod."
He's got that John Lithgow look going there with the hair.
Yeah, doesn't he, though? And that's when the lightning strikes him, and that is such a great shot. I really like this shot right here. And then this Rod, that just a few moments ago he was talking about letting go and killing himself, he now grabs onto, thank you, my friends, as ever you aid me. He's talking to the stars. But the guild, I'm still haunted by it. The atomic horror we helped create. Now my work completed, I should take my life in the guilt on, and he says it'd be so easy, but he doesn't do it. And then he's like, damn me. And we go back to the dream. The dream varies. The dream remains the same. And we see this is from the cover right here. You got to give it at least that much. And his face is being torn apart.
Hell, that's freaky.
As the eagle is stretched out on the table. And now he's the Manhunter. He's no longer Paul Kirk. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
In the first couple of issues, he was running away as Paul Kirk, but now he sees himself in his dreams as the Manhunter.
So he's slowly like accepting that he is the Manhunter, not Kirk.
Mm-hmm. And maybe remembering it since his friend actually said, "Hey, I know you." And we see him being chased by the rats, and the rats become more human as he's being woken up by Bob. The rats take the shape of the people who he saw with the scalpels, the doctors. And he hears, "Paul, wake up. You're having a nightmare." And he says, yeah, thanks, Bob. Running. If you could only stop running in your dreams, turn and fight, maybe you could do the same in reality. And we get to the divorce between Johnny Quick and Liberty Bell, and he just kisses her, says, have a good life, and we move on. Just one page. You know what, Eric? You could take that out, and the story would be the same.
And that's heartbreaking for me, too, reading that. So it's like, come on, really? It's like Lois and Clark, we're no longer be married together, but I'll always think about you.
But that pays it later, though.
And she literally already found a new John.
Yeah.
Yes.
She moved on fast.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about, how they take time to build characters. But is it sad? Yeah, okay. Is it a bit of pathos? Sure, fine. But they take time. That page does not, if they remove that page, you'd be okay with the story. The story would just flow. No problem. We just get that much more to cling to, especially considering something's going to happen in a few pages here that is going to bring all of that back around. Let's see. Just 3 hours more. You can call. Okay, I don't know. Oh. So I don't get that one. Anyway, let's see. Surprise, more people don't talk about V for Vendetta. Okay, we'll talk about that one day. Tiger is keeping Gallant on a leash, leading him on, much like the bad dames of the movies in that era, the femme fatales. Let's see. She faked her death so she could go on. Okay, let's see. Alrighty. Hopefully y'all will get back to talking about what we're talking about. And that just tells me, are we done? There you go. All righty. Let's see. Oh, and we also get to we get to the radio. I guess it's a radio station because he's actually saying this afternoon's comedy play. The dialogue needs rewrite. And we find out that one of Alan Scott's writers decided to quit because he's got a little bit of. He went to a rally or something, and he doesn't want the HUAC to be down Alan Scott's throat. He says, get him back, get him some guys and drag him from his house if you have to. If I want a martyr, I'll contact Joan of Arc. You tell him what I need are writers, good ones. You tell him I'll sell up and go under before I give in to old men with narrow minds.
There's a lot of HUAC going in this book.
Yep. But that was a thing back in the day. You actually had that going all over the entertainment field. They knew back then that if you've got the hearts and minds, you've got, if you have the hearts, if you have the emotions, you have the minds, basically. And Alan Scott's worrying because Thompson's urging for a superpowered strike on Eastern Europe sides being drawn up within America, within the world. I'm forced to take a stand, do what I know is right, and what happens? I lose sponsors, bad publicity, this happening at the worst time, the advent of television. And he looks in, gets the ring, and he's like, it used to be so simple. But, I didn't notice that. There's a crack in the ring, in the lantern. Has it always been that way?
I didn't notice.
Okay. And then we see that Liberty Bell's actually enjoying success on TV. And she's like, wow, how could have I thought that it was for me to marry, settle, and then live vicariously through the man of my life, especially considering the man of my life. And we get back to the Tarantula, who hates what he's reading, throws a hissy fit, and decides that Libby shouldn't be working. And we cut to Lance, who's, once again, I got to tell you, if I'm going to agree with Venkman on anything, it's the fact that this story is one note.
It is.
One page tells the story between Lance's brother and, well, not necessarily between him and the Tigress, but every page of dialogue between Lance and his brother are exactly the same.
Yep.
So I can agree with Venkman that part in my opinion.
Touch the mark. Touch the mark.
Yeah.
I want you.
Well, what's the poor ghost to do?
No, that's true.
I mean, he's only got one way out, and talking about the ball scores ain't gonna get it.
It's like, I guess, like, see, this is what I felt like when I tried reading Superior Spider-Man, but it was worse. It's like Peter Parker couldn't talk to Doc, who's in his body. No, he's just floating there. I mean, the way I think of this would be like Dead Man and Constantine, but at least like they'd get a better story, I would imagine, with Constantine and Dead Man.
Alrighty, let's see. The art form back then was quite different, very noir-like. That's something I do appreciate about this book.
Well, just a little, like, you see, like, the background on some of the stuff, like, you know, just the little details, there's like the little crosses, like little, like, multiple, like, crisscrosses.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you can tell how much detail they put into a lot of these pages versus the other ones.
Yeah. Like you have a background right here. Yeah, and I think it's good because it shows exactly how wealthy Lance is. You don't have to focus in on the door, which I think would be a modern day thing. You just have them filling up the doorway rather than what is really supposed to be going on is that Lance throughout all stops to get the Tigress to end up liking her. And she's actually saying, you've been very patient with me. You must have thought I was avoiding you. And he says, it did cross my mind. And she says, in that case, I'll have to change your mind, which down.
And there he is.
But she goes, but she actually says, now that we're alone. And of course, you got the dead brother falling.
I told you.
It's creepy.
Everybody's complaining about Wonder Woman 84. What about this?
I know, right? And then we cut to Miss America, who's saying Tex Thompson is not a gentle lover, lying amidst the silk sheets and musky odors. Such thoughts deny Joan Davis slumber. His eyes are cold, body movements rough, almost violent. There are moments when it seems as if he hates me. No, he loves me. I have to believe that. And I love him, don't I? It's not just his power. It's not, I want to be Miss America for the right reasons. Always writing, making entries in his diaries. Maybe the diaries hold answers, explains his moods and machinations, not to mention Dunbar's vices, Robot Man's inhumanity. And I tried to get, can we get anything? Yesterday, the is now, leading soon. So I couldn't break anything.
Yesterday is now the time. I don't know.
To fully love Tex, I have to fully understand him, don't I? If I looked in the diary, maybe, nope. Prying would be wrong, distrusting, un-American. And then we cut to Hawkman. I'm like, holy shit, this is Hawkman. No, I don't think this is Hawkman, is it?
No, that's Victor or Tex. What his name is?
Tex. Okay.
Oh, no. Is it Tex or is it Dunbar? No, it's Dunbar. That's what it is.
Dunbar. Okay, yeah. So Dunbar is selling his soul to the devil or speaking to the devil. Okay. And okay, so there you go.
Bull cut. It's another single time.
Yeah. Let's see. We meet James Forrestal. Forrestal is somebody who's pushing Tex Thompson, and he gets thrown out a window, and it says the reasons for James Forrestal's suicide remains a mystery, and we see it's Robot Man. For 58 minutes, the miracle pill's powers have lasted. Tests of strength and sense enhancement, all tests passed, all but one. Fear hits me like that other time. For the barest of instance, that last time had been enough to cause nightmarish perception distortions, hallucinations. This time, I covered my eyes, dreading the failure as much as the visions I might see. What I saw was a rooftop. And he falls through. He's like, I'm sorry. You'll be fully compensated. Don't get up. I'll let myself out. And he says, 60 minutes makes an hour, and I am whole again. And so we cut to Libby, and let me get some comments and such.
The Flannel Twins.
Let's see. Maranya saying the Gallant brothers are sort of like Marvel and Rick Jones in the way that one has to watch the other one live in another plane of existence. Yeah, that's true. That is true. And so we cut to Libby and the Tarantula, or John Law is his real name. And he's talking about he says, he wants her to quit the job. Time to start getting kids because he's getting old. And she says, I'm old? Well, at least I'm not a one-book, one-hit wonder. Can't write anymore. Can't do much of anything. And, John Law's thinking, bitch got to be taught. So he actually says, you bitch, you won't look so sweet on television when I'm through with you. And I love this part because I am a Liberty Bell fan. Yep. She whips his ass.
Low blow.
Okay, so how does this end? Liberty Bell versus Tarantula.
Not well for Tarantula.
Not very well for Tarantula at all.
Yeah.
Another guy that got sacrificed for the sake of this story.
Yep.
What, you think Tarantula is supposed to be better than Libby? Or
no. In his actual comic book appearances, he wasn't this kind of bastard by any stretch. So
yeah,
but in an Elseworld story, you have to, if you want to make it interesting, you have to make sacrifices.
But also you got to think that a lot of these people, by giving up the costume, they may have given up their purpose. So some people, okay, you see that they're able to make something of themselves even without the costume. Obviously, Alan Scott did, but it just so happens to be at a bad time because of House of Un-American activities. But some people would not be able to.
Oh, absolutely. If you look at how they were portrayed at DC Comics or National over the years, everything was a Ozzy and Harriet episode.
Yeah.
So this is James Robinson putting the real world, what like you said, what probably would have happened to some of these people when the spotlight has faded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is not everybody can handle that, and like I said, that John Law would become an alcoholic and an abuser. You can absolutely see that happening to somebody that does not have the fame anymore and can't recapture it in his other walk of life.
I would kind of have to compare them to sports stars, because some are going to handle it, some aren't. The fact that they can no longer play the game. I mean, after a while, you're just too old. Your knees are giving out. There's just, I mean, granted, you can talk about it. You could be a commenter, and yes, you're going to have whatever monies came from it, which, by the way, the superheroes don't necessarily have, but you're still going to go, I wish I could play the game.
How many former child stars become completely effed up adults?
Yep, that does happen also. Let's see. Hey, Snatch, what's up? Maranya saying some people, their identity and self-worth apparently was tied to their costume and identity. Tarantula seems to be one of them. Hello, and yo to you too, LK. We're on book 3 of the Golden Age, and Liberty Bell just kicked the crap out of Tarantula, and she's going off. She's crying, oh, John, and as if to fight her sadness, a thought is born, a memory, and of happier times. And she's like, Johnny, and she sees Johnny Quick. And I'm thinking, not but a page ago, she was like, I can't believe I got married and I'm living vicariously through a man. So she has this moment of strength. She goes off and cries, and her first thought is Johnny Quick. So it's like a big old turnaround. If you're thinking of it in modern times. My first thought was, wow, this shows are kind of weak. But then I went, no. I think mine was the last generation that was told, oh, well, you know, you got to get married, you got to have kids, you got to do. And so very much so in the 1940s, 1950s, not women need to get married, but people needed, you know, it was just one of the things people did. So when she runs off and she's just saying, how could I live my life vicariously through a man? And after, when she hits a snag, her first thought is the guy that made her happier. I actually thought, no, that's actually, I kind of like this. I kind of like the way they wrote it. Let's see. So has anyone commented on the similarity to Watchmen? At times I feel it's very alike. I was just thinking about that because Watchmen's about like destruction, like of the superheroes and just falling apart, you know, and just like moving on, and one of them becoming a traitor. I was getting Watchmen vibes from this too, and I didn't care for Watchmen. Huh. Okay. All right. Let's move on. And we see Bob Daly. Oop, there we go. And they're basically working as they're in a small town. And it's working for them. They're basically handymen doing whatever jobs they can, and the town likes them, and that's what they're saying. Bob's walking about, and people are actually kind of embracing him. And we get, did I hear you right, Bob? You're leaving Colby. You'll be coming back, I hope. He says, I hope so. Yes, I like this town. I like how you guys made us welcome. She says, well, the town seems to agree with you both. You lost some of the weight you arrived with. And we actually can see that. And they talk about how Paul's attitude changes, but we got to get back to the dream. And we see him once again as Manhunter. Run, never stop. Lungs ache, lungs burn, but never stop. Run, save the eagle. Don't let them have it. Don't let them kill it. The fear's no less. It hasn't changed. It still oozes from your pores, tastes bitter, sharp on your tongue. What has changed is that you're fighting it. Save the eagle. Save it. Save the cheerleader. Save the world. I'm sorry. It just
I don't remember that being in there.
And then he sees the eagle get killed. He yells and he leaps out of bed, still afraid. Part of you that you're not, that you can't listen to. Part of you wants to crawl off to the darkest, safest parts of Colby, hide away forever. It's time to learn your past. Time for the truth and to face it head on.
Now, I want to talk about how this is really compiling back and forth when we remember the whole thing. When Dunbar was going under the experiment, there were scientists that spoke in unfamiliar accents. So, and seeing the eagle, save the eagle. Eagle is a metaphor for America, bald eagle. Mm-hmm. So it's really coming into picture here. Like if you've been following the clues.
Yep.
You may at first I didn't notice it until like went back and read it. Those going screaming through again. I was like, dude, there actually are, like, if you follow the clues, like this is something Engelstein's dad would be like, yeah, I already know what's happening. This would have been that movie.
Right. So we see Bob and Paul, and they went to New York, and they go to the museum, and there is Hawkman. Greetings, gentlemen. I hope my dwelling and appearance aren't too alarming. Discovering one's roots can be unsettling for those other than the ones doing the discovering. And he is full on. He looks like freaking Yul Brynner from the 10 Commandments right here. He says, I am Carter Hall. You were Hawkman. Yes, once, a lifetime ago. And so basically they talk Paul Kirk into hypnotism, and Hawkman begins to hypnotize him. And we get his past. Paul Kirk, until now, I remembered that was my name, but little else. Didn't know who he or who I really was. Now I do. Paul Kirk, the playboy. Paul Kirk, the adventurer, the big game hunter. God, what a carefree life I had. This was before Bob Daly's time, when Tex and I would paint the town and stain the African plains red. We were inseparable, me and Tex. Did everything together. Him, a few years older, like a guiding hand, an elder brother. Commitments arose as the years went by. We drifted apart, some, but stayed in touch. One day he revealed to me he'd become a mystery man, Mr. America. Maybe it was subconscious, his guiding hand still working, but within a year I'd followed suit. A couple of times we went out, did the crime fighting thing together. Those were the best, the golden times. Then one day, Tex disappeared. I hadn't been seeing much of him before then anyway, let alone, or anyway yet, I don't know. Something was missing after that. The friendly competition between us, the fact that he was out there on the street somewhere like me. So one parachute and a few bribes later, I was in Europe. After that fighting criminals fell to the war. Okay, here it is. I kept the Manhunter tag. It became my code name. The rest of it, the masks and the costumes, stayed stateside. This is war, after all, not fancy dress. Working with the resistance, I upset the Nazis plenty. Then one day, I followed some SS officers down a side street. Plan was to kill them. I'd found I'd been beaten to it by one of their own. It was Tex. Knowing Tex was out there on the European streets from then on, I'm ashamed to admit the war became a bit like a game, like those early days of fighting crimes. Sometimes Tex and I worked as a team. Our most famous stunt was credited solely to him, but we worked together, killing all of the enemy's superhumans. Sure, it was Tex who forged the orders, summoning them all to the chateau, but it was me who went and wired the place to blow it to Valhalla. I killed Parsifal, too, Hitler's secret weapon, his knight and defender who'd kept the Allied superheroes at bay. He was a little run of a man with bad breath and a worse complexion. Somehow the credit for that went to Tex as well, but in the last couple of weeks of war, I was too busy killing generals and destroying defenses to keep counter-care. Hitler was holed up somewhere awaiting the end. American troops were just outside Berlin. I figured it would all be over soon, and who did what and what got what glory could get sorted out then. And then, yes, Paul, and then it happened. What? Try to remember. Try, you must. I'm scared. I'm scared to. It was when my world exploded. Alrighty, I know I started reading into it. I'm just getting into the freaking story. Okay, so you're reading this, and you gotta be feeling something there, right? Right, Venkman, at this point in time, anyway.
What issue is this again?
This is issue number 3.
Oh, skip to issue 4.
Yeah, not yet. Let's see. Ed's here saying, I really like this Golden Age Elseworld story. They surely don't make them like that anymore. No, they do not. Of course, Venkman saying that's a good thing.
Yep. I'll be right back.
All righty. Let's see.
Sprinkle run.
The eagle is on the nose symbology of U.S. and the American dream. This feels like foreshadowing of this hero going against Thompson in issue number 4. And MK says, yep, I always got confused when I was a little between the eagle and that other bird that looks like an eagle, but isn't. All righty, so we do get that Paul Kirk had a mission. Word came to me that one of Hitler's scientists was still at large and still at work. I'm not talking rocket scientists. I'm talking the other kind, the kinds that use death camp prisoners and POWs as guinea pigs. I'm talking mad, cruel, foul research, and I'm talking about someone who deserved to die. Located him in a Bavarian castle hidden away. Breached its defenses. My gun was loaded. My knife and my wits were sharp. I was ready for anything except what I saw. One of those lying on the table is familiar to me, a memory of her beauty, famous beauty. Then I recalled she was Dolores Winters, a movie actress from the 30s. She vanished in 38. My blood turned to ice when I remembered why, and when I saw that was Tex lying next to her. And then we get the story on another point. We see Lance and the Tigress hanging out, and he's like, he was like, I'm very glad that we were alone. And she goes, we've been alone before. He goes, no, I mean, really alone, because his brother's nowhere near. He says, come here, but there's a knock on the door. And we find it's Miss America. She came in. She says she stole the diary. She wanted to find out what's wrong with Tex. And she figured the only criminal she actually knew was the Tigress. And so Tigress picks the lock of the diary, and they find a picture of Dolores Winters. and then they start reading it. My plans had always been brilliant, and it was flattering that so many superheroes regarded me, the Ultra-Humanite, as their arch foe. Yet there lay the problem. I was always falling afoul of some accursed do-gooder, all-colored tights and noble heart. I could see that wasn't going to change, that if I wanted to prosper, I should go someplace the superheroes weren't. It didn't take a genius to figure out where. Hitler welcomed me. Dachau became... Dachau, I don't know how to say it, sorry, became my playground, and oh, the fun I had. But by 45, it was obvious the game was over. Hitler was praying for a miracle. Then I was alerted to suspicion surrounding a certain SS officer. It was believed he could be a spy. I took one look, recognized him, and confirmed that he was Tex Thompson. It was going to be more than that, however. He was going to be my escape. I'd escaped death once in 42 when I transferred my brain out of my tired old body and into the lovely young form of Dolores. Brain transference is like riding a bicycle. Once you learn, you never forget. Of course, keeping this bike ride a secret meant silencing a few people along the way. And that's when Miss America realizes she's been sleeping with the Ultra-Humanite. And Tigress says, it gets worse. Worse? Tex Thompson is the Ultra-Humanite? How can it get worse? And Tigress starts saying, this is too big for us. We need the big guns. And we get back to the nightmare. And Paul Kirk says, so shocked I was. The Ultra-Humanite's brain had been in Dolores Winter's body, and now his brain was in Tex. My friend was dead. The Humanite must have been the scientist, my prey. But with me hanging there, my rifle hard to aim, I wanted to kill him before I had to kill him now. When I did, I don't know, maybe it caught the moonlight because it glimmered or whatever. I caught that monster's attention. I looked down. He looked up. Things looked bad. After what he'd done to Tex, God knows what he'd do to me. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. I hit my head, among other places. The blow must have garbled my head. My thought process, don't trust Thompson, became a message from my subconscious not to trust anyone. And he goes through, he talks about, they basically talk about, yeah, okay, Tex Thompson's the Ultra-Humanite. When he couldn't find your body with you knowing his secret, that meant the Ultra-Humanite had to keep looking for you. Those men that attacked us last year, they worked for him. They must have. And then Hawkman says, yes, well, that was them boys. What do we do now? I love this part, though, Venkman. Let me go. I know I've read a lot, and I apologize, guys. But let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's what I feel, too. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see. Oh, well, DC Industry has run off all the writers who could do something like this. I know, right? Cool. That must have been what I was thinking about. I pronounced it Dachau. Okay. You just got to hope that those writers get a shot writing for AW. Oh, yeah, I know, right? Hey, Indy Jones, what's up? That only came. Okay. So I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite parts right here, because what happens is they all know that Johnny knows everybody. So they give him a call and they say, we need everybody. And he's like, yeah, okay, so what's up? And they start talking about it. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he's not taking it serious. You can tell he's not taking it serious. And why not? Tex Thompson's the Ultra-Humanite. And then Hawkman calls and says, Johnny, this is Carter Hall. I just got it back a few days ago. Listen, do you remember Paul Kirk? And basically tells the exact same story. And that is when his eyes change and everything is the same. And he calls up, or he tries to call Alan Scott. Alan Scott puts his ring away. And while the phone is still ringing, you can just see him. He's there, probably thinking that the phone is just another message that the House of Un-American Activities is trying to get a hold of him. And that's where issue 3 ends. All righty. I'll give you first go at it, Venkman. Issue 3, what'd you think?
Very ending, when you get all the information, they confirm your theories and stuff, and then going back to that, because when I got to the end of issue 3 is when I realized all those garbled visions he was having tie back to everything, it's like, holy crap, because I'm like, they gotta be important, but it's like, it's, if anything, I really appreciate the art on them, but I had no idea what was going on in them.
Yeah.
But
if you read if you go back and you read those dreams coinciding with what everybody else is going on with, they make more and more sense as they go on, and you can start to see what exactly is happening.
And I just don't like the whole trope with Alan Scott thing. Is like, I don't want to use the ring, so I'm going to fight without the ring. And it's just like, I've seen that before. I don't care for that. Just put the dang ring on. You know you got to put it on eventually.
Funny you should say that, because in book 4, all righty, I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker on this. I see we're almost to the 2. We're only about 11 minutes away from the 2.
But that last one thing.
What?
If he had been using the ring to this point, it would have lessened the impact that it has, and that's kind of what this whole story is about. Where all the people that, the different ways they handled not being superheroes anymore, those that tried to continue, those who tried to move on. And I said, and then issue 4 makes it apparent that they are all who they are, even the ones that became drunk and abusive were there to answer the call.
And that's the thing, though. If the way issue 4 is, if issue 4 wasn't that way, if it wasn't like action and stuff, I don't think it would have been as great. I mean, like, you're building up to that, and it's like, man,
no, there has to be a payoff, and we're
of course.
That's why I was glad it was such a huge payoff, because it pays off for the rest of the setup.
Yeah. Let's see. Maranya saying these Golden Age covers are very reminiscent of the old-time Pulp Fiction covers. The trade dress is very vintage, and it fits the vibe they're trying to create. LK is saying it was also perfect use of the Ultra Humanite. He could swap people until he found that super gorilla body that he thought was the perfect form. Superhuman strength with a superior mind.
Yeah, one other thing real quick. I said, this was the way that this was, the Ultra Humanite had been used and used and used. And Roy Thomas probably used him the best. But it was almost like, he was almost, like I said, let's be honest, it's hard to sell a supervillain who swaps bodies with a movie starlet and a gorilla. So this was, what if somebody just made him a alpha level threat? And this story really did it.
All right.
Kind of like Red Skull, or like, taking over as trying to be president.
Well, no, it'd be like if the Red Skull was formidable in all of his appearances, but the Ultra Humanite was kind of it. It was hard to take serious, but that was the case with a lot of DC villains.
Well, as I said when we finished the second issue, I'm just going to reiterate. I think this book is perfectly paced, because just tension overflows in this book, especially towards the end, as you realize exactly what kind of crap they're in. Except for you don't know 100% the kind of crap they're in, which you do find out in book number 4. And people tell me things. I don't know why. It's not that I'm particularly sensitive, says Johnny Quick. But if there's a problem, and even if it's obvious, I won't be able to help in any way. People still come to me. They told me at Christmas about Thompson being the Ultra Humanite. And worse, they told me the truth about Dunbar, America's Superman. And we see everybody talking about what are they supposed to do. We need nobody here is individually. No one is powerful enough to take on Dynaman. And they get the radio. Of course, you turn on the radio and the news is exactly how you need it. And you find out there will be a day where all the superheroes can come and unmask and pledge their allegiance to the flag. But in another issue, they said pledge their allegiance to the government, not to the protection of America. I like the fact that at least they changed it to the flag. Mm-hmm. And they say, hey, well, now we got our venue, and they're talking about, well, who's going to do it? Because if it's Green Lantern, he's being hit by the House of Un-American Activities, and
he's being blacklisted.
Thompson is anti-communist, so how's that going to look? You have a criminal. You have, if they show up in masks, they'll look like they can't be trusted and so forth. So they're wondering who is going to do it, and they decide it's going to be our man. because as soon as somebody talks, Dunbar's there and he can actually kill them. So they figure our man might be the only one who people would trust and would have the power to stand up against Dynaman if he attacks. And they figure, okay, that sounds like a great plan. That's what we're going to do. And break.
But look at the background. See now the wood, the paneling stuff. There's a detail on that, the ceiling and everything. I love that, the little detail like that.
And let's see. And let's have a few whispered words. I'm sure we can get their attention elsewhere. Oh, they're talking about maybe if they use some of the information they have on the House of Un-American Activities, they could get everything to turn around. He says, no, I'm not running from this. Let them do their worst. And he's basically being called in, so he has to testify in front of them. And then, of course, everybody's kind of saying, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to this? Are you going to stay home? Are you going to be a part of this? John Law is telling her, I've really changed. We see he's pouring out all his alcohol. And Starman is basically just working on what he's got. And we see the dead brother is talking about how it's awesome because they're going to be a superhero again and he'll get to live again. And Tigress is saying, nope, just I'm going to go steal that diary. Don't worry about it. And she's asking if Miss America is okay. And we see that Miss America is significantly not okay at this point. And then we see Robot Man, of all people, telling Dunbar to lay off the cocaine. Yeah. So we get to the day. Oh, go on ahead.
I was going to say, it's highly illogical.
Right. Okay, let me see what we got going on here. Let's see. Do Ultra Humanite taking over Thompson is chilling like when the Red Skull took over Steve Rogers' Captain America's body. Let's see. Ultra Humanite was a big fun foe for the old Earth 2 JSA. And it was like 75 years before my time. By 8 years, really? Let's see.
No, that's the baseball conversation.
Okay. Alrighty.
Once you find about the thing is, once you find about Ultra Humanite, it starts making you question: is Dunbar really Dunbar, or is Dunbar just a guy who's just been swayed?
Mm-hmm. And now we're getting the announcement. Of course, our man's going to be giving the gift of Miraclo to America. He says, "Oh yeah, I've got a gift for you, Thompson, tomorrow." And so we see everybody piling in, and this is a who's who thing. Yep. Like, okay, you got the Condor. Is this Ibis or whatever his name was? You got Plastic Man, Punch, but I don't see Julie. Wildcat, the Ray, of course. This looks like Black Canary, Starman, and Stripesy. The Flash is there. Guardian.
Yeah. He shows up at the end, but he doesn't have any speaking dialogue points at all. He's just like the background character.
We've got the Guardian. We've got Mr. Terrific. I forgot this guy's name. This looks like Phantom Lady. Is that who that is? You think that?
Let me turn to it and see.
Oh. The Human Bomb, Tarantula, of course, and Johnny's Thunderbolt. But yeah, that looks like Phantom Lady. Some of these people we don't see.
It's Catwoman, Nuskin.
And Zatara. There's a lot of power here that is not used in the final battle, by the way.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Like they all just say, like, oh, we're going to go home now. At the end of the day.
So Johnny Quick says to his friend, look, if anything starts happening, keep filming. And he sees Black Canary, and they kind of hug each other and say, hey, is everything fine? He goes, yeah. And then we see a kid trying to get in saying he's a superhero. And he goes, they're heroes, Sonny. You aren't old enough to vote. What's your name? He said, I haven't thought of one. And the cop kind of pushes him aside as we see, I guess this Condor Man still. And this is the Doll Man. And
that's Krennis.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. But the kid's saying he won't give up. He is a hero and he'll prove it. And Tex Paul Kirk and Bob walk in, And he's like, "There's Tex." He goes, "You got to remember, that's not Tex. Our friend Tex is dead now, and the Human Knight's dead too. He just doesn't know it yet." And we see people signing the papers, and everybody's getting ready for the big announcement. And they realize they can't find Joan, Miss America, when basically she ends up showing up at the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen, fellow heroes, I am Joan Dale, Miss America, and I love this country, America." What this land means is very diverse to its people, as the diversity of the people themselves. Remember when diversity wasn't a bad word? America can be an ideal of freedom of expressions, of basic human liberties. Freedom of expression. "Joan, what are you doing? We haven't started yet," Tex yells at her. America,
you missed the part. "You're a woman. What is she doing?"
Yeah. America's tap and jazz and baseball. It's pure, honest energy, a life force stretching from Hollywood to Heartland to Harlem. Based on the dreams of pioneers, outcasts, and pilgrims, fueled by their strength and spirit that courses through our veins, spirit that flows through our rivers and mountains, that blows across the prairies. That spirit, that dream is here today in you, my fellow heroes. It's beating in your hearts, America. This vast land founded on the basic rights of the individual. Sometimes it takes a war to remind us of the precious freedoms inherent in this land. Sometimes it takes sacrifice." She's like, the Dynamo's quite a speech. Tex Thompson says, "Yeah, I didn't realize she hadn't entered, to be honest. Listen, she believes every word of it, too. A sacrifice I am today prepared to make." And our man's like, "Oh, Joan, no, don't. I was supposed to." And she says, "By revealing that my colleagues have in their possession the diary of this man, in which he admits that the real Tex Thompson is dead and that he is actually the criminal genius, the ultra-humanite who," and our man's yelling, "Joan, run, run," as we see as we see Robot Man going towards her, as Tex is yelling, "Stop her, shut her up." And Dynamo's just sitting there. "No, not again." Robot Man covers her mouth. Our man's, "Robot Man, stop. What are you?" And Robot Man's just like, "Stop you, shut you, said too much." And this is harsh. Our man jumps on the robot as Joan is saying, "Another villain's brain, the greatest villain." And Robot Man yells, "Too much," and reaches over and kills Miss America. Our man yells, "Maniac," destroys Robot Man, and ladies and gentlemen, it is on. As Tex tries to calm everybody down, saying that Miss America was crazy and it can all be explained, and our man says, "Explain? I'll explain you, you son of a bitch." And everybody's looking on as Joan is bloody, dead, and all over everybody. And our man is holding Tex Thompson above his head, yelling, "People, heroes, listen, believe Miss America was telling the truth. This is the ultra-humanite. He took Thompson's body and put his brain in it, as he did with Dunbar Dynaman and the brain of Adolf Hitler." Dun, dun, dun.
So they got Mein Kampf?
Apparently, yes. And of course, he's just yelling, "Enough!" It was nice to see Doll Man and Doll Lady. Now all we need is that Spider-Man meme at 3 and pointing. Okay, let's see. I like this type of video layout and content. Thank you, Dragon Ball.
Yeah. So this,
of course, the dirty little secret of the HUAC that the left tries to make everyone forget is the committee, especially the House side, was mostly correct. Let's see. It's just McCarthy took it too far. All righty. So there we go. The big reveal.
This is
Eric or VENKMAN.
I was going to say, this is where sports ball gets evil.
Okay.
This is where, like I said, this is where it leads off. This is like right here.
Did you see this? Because you're new at it. Did you see it?
Well,
did you see this
when I saw him Dunbar worshiping Satan down there, I definitely knew he wasn't Satan. But as far as Hitler, I kind of it kind of made sense that he swapped with somebody like, well, this, and they talk about how the guy killed Hitler. They never showed it though. And if Humanite's not, not the actual Rex or Tex guy, So how do we know that he didn't swap, somebody else more important, Hitler?
Yeah.
So I kind of had it in my mind, but I'm like, they wouldn't be this. They wouldn't go that bold. Hitler. I'm like, then again, it's a JSA. Why not? We've seen people punching Hitler. We've seen Cap punching Hitler. So why would JSA bring it up to beat the crap out of him?
Eric, you knew the characters. Is there, and we were told that Hitler was killed by Tex Thompson. Was there a villain or something you thought, okay, maybe he was swapped with, or?
No, I got the story out of chronological order. I thought they already knew that. I thought that was in the diary also. But I guess they hadn't done it yet.
Yeah, they had known it, but it wasn't revealed to the audience. It was not yet. This is the first time it's revealed to the audience that it was. And once again, when I first read this, I was carried by the story. I wasn't looking to solve anything. I was just looking for them to tell me. And I was like, oh, crap. Okay. All right, guys, where's this going? Because Dunbar just yells enough and bam, knocks the out of our man. Enough of the smiles and lies, the pretense to the Jew and the black that because they are Americans, I saw them as anything but inferior. Quote mine. In the speeches, they didn't work the first time. Why? Why did I ever think they'd work this time? Hitler's body had been burnt in the bunker by his underlings after Thompson had killed him and left the scene. At least that was the story. The truth was that the body had been burnt to hide the signs of surgery, an empty skull cavity. The truth is that the devil hovers above me in the body of a god, and my blood runs cold. No more talk. I am Overman, Dynaman. I've the power I've always dreamed of. Time to begin using it to get what I want. And I want everything. And I love the fact that you do see like the Washington Monument, the house is just blowing up. He's the first thing. Yeah.
Are they in the Capitol building?
Yeah, they were in the Capitol building.
Okay.
Yep. And so we cut to Huok, and basically Alan Scott's giving them the riot act and telling them, you people just spew out any filthy lie that suits your needs and nobody could touch you. It says this is nothing but a witch hunt. And as he's speaking, they feel the vibrations and everything stops. And they get the story. And so, boom, they have to stop. And we see all the flyers going up to Dynaman. And Eric, you got to laugh at the fact that Condor Man's the first one that makes it. This is basically Condor Man. That's his name, right? Condor Man, right?
I thought it was Butterfly Man.
Well, this is Condor Man versus Superman, basically.
Injustice, JSA.
I guess in the early 50s, the red shirt was the yellow costume.
Yeah. Because, the Ray is following after. Now, I don't think they ever show the Ray using his light powers either. But the Condor, he goes up and basically Daniel Dunbar punches him out and then throws him at the Ray. But then we get a Hawkman blast. Who's the guy in the pirate costume behind him? Do you recognize him?
I think that's the tarantula in his costume.
I thought it was Braille, the tarantula. Yeah. But I love the fact that we do see the Hawkman knocking him. And we get back. Paula's mad. Tigress is mad because Robot Man killed her. So she decides, you know what? I'm going to take out the Robot Man, and he starts fighting. I kind of dig this because was she the Huntress?
I believe that was her name.
Yeah, and in the beginning it was Huntress because she's the yellow cat costume lady before, but because the Huntress was the Huntress, after a while they changed her name. And she lands, is that the best you could do? That and kill girls who are sick with stress and heartache, enjoy killing women? Well, here I am, and what are you waiting for? I love that. I love the line. I love that he towers over her. It's just a really good hero moment. And this is the next villain. This is somebody who decided I'm coming over, and she decided that to be with Tex, but instead is now fighting basically for mankind. And we got the Atom and we've got Johnny Thunderbolt, and they're looking at Tex going, what? And Tex is saying, Al, Johnny, you have to believe me. This really is a terrible mistake. I've got to go after Danny, reason with him. Get our man. He's obviously a red. The whole thing smacks of a commie trick. Find out who he is, who he's in league with, and stop them. And this is Adam's like, this has to be a mistake. And they're not believing it, of course, because they're finally involved. They're finally one of the big guns that they always wanted to be. And as Robot Man looks like he's about to kill Tigress, Johnny's in the background going, it's gotta be. And of course, the dead brother's like, you said you'd protect her. You promised. She needs us. She needs Captain Triumph. Touch the birthmark. So we get over. We see our man is on the ground, and the Atom comes up. You're lying. Why are you lying? And he punches our man out of the freaking Capitol building with a. You don't think of the Atom being that strong, he says, hoping there would be a comment. But
the pillars of truth are breaking.
Well, right. No, because he is in fact the Atom. He is, of course, in the Golden Age. He had super strength and so forth. Yeah, I think that is. I think that right there is a great shot. That is a great panel right there. Let's see. Interesting. The only Doll Man I've known was from the old movie from like the 1960s, a movie called Doll Man, and then there was Charles Brand's version of from Full Moon. I remember that one. That was a lot of fun, by the way. If you ever get to see what was it, Doll Man versus
Demonic Toys.
Demonic Toys. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. All righty. So Atom knocks our man out the freaking wall, and Johnny Thunderbolt points to him and says, stop him. And Johnny Thunderbolt's like, stop him? Who? Him. Our man, the big one. Kill him if you have to, but stop him. He's saying we were wrong, fooled. I belong. I never belonged before. Thompson's dream. It can't be wrong. And the Thunderbolt tries to reason with him. The Thunderbolt says, Master Johnny, think perhaps you're... And he says, don't you dare question me. Just do as I say. And that sends the Thunderbolt forward. But he's acting on what he's about to do wouldn't be noble. So the guy's saying, do it. Stop our man. Stop him. And the Thunderbolt yells, I must obey. But in the end, he can't. And I just whited everything out. There we go. Let's try it again. And he flies off into the sky where actually Thunderbolts should be, and he explodes. And Johnny's there going, oh, what have I done? Which leads to the the Atom trying to stop our man. He's like, think, Al, the reason you weren't selected to be Thompson's Superman, you're already atomic. The diary said so. Your body would have poisoned Hitler's brain. No brain and body transformed simultaneously. It had to be. And you were lucky. You weren't the one. They killed poor Dunbar to do it. And Adam's yelling, lies, lies, shut your... And then Dr. Midnight gets thrown, or is that... No, it's Hawkman gets thrown on the Atom. And Dunbar says, oh, wow, my friend, look at you. Denial in the face of reason. Blind obedience. I love that in a soldier. What a great little Nazi you would have made. And Adam's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. He says, forget it. Just bring him down. And they fastball special him right up into Dunbar. And he beats the tar out of him.
What
I love
irritates me is the page before that. You see the Flash, Gabe Garrick in the background just doing nothing. Go back. Seriously, that page before that, when he's still talking about the lies and stuff. You know, keep going.
Oh yeah,
right there on the left.
Liberty Bell and the Flash and some guy with a sword.
Flash is like, I'm just gonna stand here and
you guys take care of this. I'm not in this book.
I'm retired.
or he's saying, I'm really tired.
Yep. But I love this scene where you see the Atom just beating the crap out of basically Superman until they land in the mud, and he just kind of shrugs everybody off, including the Flash, who is still just standing around and doing nothing.
Why is he in here?
I have no reason to be here.
I'm getting a paycheck, right?
So Green Lantern, we see him, a riptide of panic. Alan Scott fights it, has to fight it, fights it. It has to fight his way through. He must reach the newsroom for something he left there. And we see then as Alan runs by, he actually runs by Tex Thompson, who's looking for escape. Have to, different body, different face, begin again. And we hear Thompson, and it's Paul Kirk. And he goes, no, Manhunter. I love that scene. I love that. Paul Kirk, no, Manhunter. Boom, you're dude. Because after that, they just get to beating the crap out of each other. Hear the dead brother saying, he's going to kill her, Lance. You see, touch the birthmark. You have to touch it. He goes, you don't get it, do you? I don't need you, Michael. I've never need you. And he jumps in to fight Robot Man, which I think, you know what? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you kind of need Cap Triumph.
Because this is what happens.
Yeah, because in the end, he drops on Robot Man. Robot Man decides, yeah, you're a dumbass. And then here we see, of course, Johnny is filming his friends getting the crap beat out of him. I see Dino Man and the Human Bomb trade explosive punches. 20 blows into the fight, I see its victors. So many fallen. Without his goggles, he cannot see. Without them, he's useless. Dr. Midnight is a blind man, desperate not to stumble.
We're gonna make millions. Keep rolling this.
I know, right? It's like a modern day YouTuber.
They told him to do that. This, no matter what happens, keep filming.
Yeah, he told his friend to.
Yeah, not him though.
So he says once during the war, the Red Bee had a strange dream where he died. 7 years later, the dream comes true. Doll Man broken like a China namesake. John Law's last thought. What a great book this would have made. We see the snap of his neck.
Yep.
And Dunbar's just sitting above him. Wonderful. Easy. Dynaman's fists had hurt him, but he'd endured. But he'd felt worse, endured more in Egypt, ancient Egypt, when he was a king. And Hawkman flies towards him. Great freaking panel right there.
Right here, coming up the next thing.
I love this art, man, because, yeah, right here, bam, as we see Hawkman.
The rain helps it, and look at the lightning.
He's like a savage Hawkman. He's doing it. He's beating when he warred and he fought hard. Of course, that was a long time ago.
Oh.
And on the ground, a scared young man makes the butterflies in his stomach don their armor and prepare for battle. Hey, Tubby, the kid, film him. He's a hero. And the kid's flying up. Time to prove. And then the kid gets knocked back into the camera.
Yeah.
Who is he? Doesn't matter. And we find out that Johnny Quick says, I can't stay in the shadows. I want to, but not any longer. It's Johnny Quick's time to fight, to die. 3x2 9YZ4A, and despite it all, Johnny smiles, and we see him beating the out of Dunbar as well.
Do you know what would have been great though? He's like, I can't run. Oh, cigarettes.
Yeah, maybe the Flash could take over from here. Yeah,
right.
And then we see Alan is looking for his ring as he's hearing about all of his friends get their asses whipped. Onlookers scattering. Oh no, a child. He's going to hit a child. A little girl same age as my daughter. I can't let latest fatality, the sports master, a reformed villain. Damn it. Even the villains, my villain, more hero than me. I'm no more. Denying my fate. It's what I swore in brightest day and blackest night. It's what I swore. And we see Lance fighting Robot Man. Why are you? Didn't you hear Thompson is? Known always, care not. And he gets an arrow to the eye. You all right, hun? Yeah. Is he finished? And Robot Man stands up. Nice try. I guess not. Lance, touch the damn mark. Let Triumph do it. No, go to hell, he says as he jumps on Robot Man, and take this big metal bastard with you. And then the two get electrocuted. And Tigress looks on. Oh, and the dead man apparently doesn't disappear when his brother dies. That is kind of weird to me. And I love this scene right here. You see Robot Man still standing with the dead body over him, electricity flying from both of them. And Johnny, his eyes clear up, and we see Liberty Bell. It's me. I'm here. Libby, how? I've been here all along. I just haven't been doing anything. Yeah, because she's actually standing next to the Flash in that panel you told me about. She says, we need a miracle. And then we see the Green Lantern. Hey, villain, you are history.
The Green Lantern.
I think we got it. The big guy's back. And Dynamo's like, oh, and they begin to fight. Dynamo crashes through the shield, and that Green Lantern made. Green Lantern punches him.
Teeth flying. That's cool.
Yeah, the teeth flew too. Yeah.
And with a haircut, he's gonna look worse.
Yeah. And now I don't get Green Lantern is saying and he's saying D. So I wonder if the ND actually stands for something here as we see Dynamo knocking the crap out of Green Lantern. They move in close again. Dynaman's got teeth missing. They're both growling at each other. Libby's looking up. He's the one to beat him.
Oh my gosh, I forgot it.
If the Lantern, if anybody could, go on ahead. Say what you were saying.
I was going to say that Simple Jack now. That's Ben Stiller from Tropic Thunder.
Let's see. The comic from the 40s is Doll Man, and Yeah,
this is when Johnny proves that he's a man, and he really gets Liberty going.
Green Lantern, Dragon Ball Z strong. And Jim Sorensen says the Flash is doing stuff. He's just too fast for anybody to see it. Okie dokie.
Do you know that Johnson is there too as well? He just can't see it.
He's weakening. Don't you see? He's not going to make it. And Johnny, you're hurt. Where are you going? To get a hero. One last hero. One last chance. And he runs away. And we get Paul Kirk and Tex Thompson fighting. And the soldier stops and says, stop, you're killing each other. Stop, I said. Is that the Atom? That can't be the Atom. And he fires at both of them, yells at them to stop. So much craziness. I don't know who's in the wrong, what to do. Confused. And we see Bob come up and knock the gun out of the soldier's hand. Tex Thompson picks it up. The Manhunter says, the Humanite's closer. Reaches the gun. It doesn't matter. You're not the prey. Not anymore. He is. He's dead. But Thompson fires the gun. Thorns in my side. And we see Bob Daly catch bullet and fall off the balcony. And he says, he's dead. Dead. Paul Kirk jumps out. Manhunter jumps out the window, grabbing Tex with him as they fall far to the ground.
Into internal darkness.
There we go. And Paul lands on his shoulder. We see Tex lands on his head. And he says, you're dead. And then we see, oh, by the way, I'll let Eric talk since he hasn't been talking for a while. What is Golden Age Green Lantern's one big weakness?
Wood.
There we go. As Dunbar hits him with a big ass tree.
And we find out later that he loves wood.
I knew that joke was going to come up at some point in time. All righty. So Dunbar walks towards the Green Lantern saying that was fun, but game's over. And he punches Green Lantern in the back of the head. As we see, Johnny, you brought Ted, but I thought he is our last chance. Starman. Who else is there? And we see Starman landing. Fiend, he yells as he grabs his cosmic rod, the one that Green Lantern is very interested in now. The evil you've done, the evil you are, it ends now. Prepare for the cosmic retribution. And he gets a tire thrown at his face. The rod breaks. Yes, well, so much for that. Is there no one else? If I had thought this would be so easy, I might have done it sooner. That is so awesome. A hero never quits. Never we see the kid jump for him, hitting him, punching him.
And then
Dunbar ball kicks him, the freaking bastard. The rod, it's still broken, we hear a voice say, but it's still a weapon. I can still use it. Someone has a plan, sudden, desperate, while a photographer lurks among the rubble. Fingers fumbling, focusing, trying to... The shutter clicks. We see the kid, go on then, do it. I'm not afraid. And posterity captures a young man's defiance. As we see Liberty run up behind Dunbar with the cosmic rod broken, she uses it as a spear, ramming it through Dunbar's chest. As he collapses, he says, "Oh, Gott." I can't do a German accent. And the bus falls on him. Yeah. As you can imagine, after that, the rest of the year seemed rather quiet. He was supposed to be invulnerable, but things are often supposed to be what they're not. I guess we wore him down, all of us, a piece at a time, a punch at a time. I guess, who can say? Maybe there are more answers to be found in the Humanites' diary, but the government confiscated it and promptly denied its existence. In fact, they denied everything, all the fantastic stuff. Thompson was a hero gone bad. Dunbar was a hero gone mad, and that was that. Huh. And with the memory of that whole horrible day ebbing year by year, sometimes I think they might be right. Sometimes. God, look at the time. Look at the date. I have to get a Christmas tree tomorrow. I've left it late. I've less than a week. Winter in the San Fernando Valley, the only time it dips below 70 and the only time it's livable. Still, TV's got Libby working here, so I'm working here. No complaint. 5 years. 5 years older. Later. God, how things have changed, have stayed the same for me, for Libby, for everyone. Ted Knight got better. Slowly, happier. In 53, he got married to a girl with average looks and a great sense of humor. Just what he needed. Ted doesn't work at night much anymore. Paul Kirk recovered from his injuries, liquidated his assets, and returned to Kenya to hunt and find himself. He disappeared in the jungle in 1951. Alan Scott did the only thing he could. He bought into television and ended up leading the race as ever. Al funded a writing scholarship in 54. Named it after a staff writer he used to have named Charlie Bowles. And to me, he'll always be the big guy. Tyler Chemicals thrives with poor, hardworking Rex seeming to grow more desperate and wanting day by day. Then he'll snap, vanish for weeks. And in that time, the bulky silhouette of our man is seen bounding across the skyline. One day, maybe, Rex will tame his inner demons. Maybe. Judging from his attitude nowadays, Al Pratt, the Atom, learned something from his mistakes. Johnny Thunder, on the other hand, poor Paula, with Lance's death, she went off the deep end. Last I heard, she'd made the FBI's most wanted list. They say it's only a matter of time before she kills someone. And Libby, maybe it's time she and I retied the knot, but she's rediscovered her independence during her time with John Law, and now she's loath to jeopardize it. Whatever, as long as she doesn't stop loving me, I'm happy. Anyway, like I say, things change, things stay the same. Thompson's death left a void within the power structure of the Senate. Joe McCarthy stepped into the spotlight, one bastard for another. The witch hunt continues, with one of its casualties being the Justice Society, who disbanded and vanished into a puff of smoke on another gray day in Washington, and no one seemed to care. After all, they were the past. The future was that unknown kid who fought alongside us, took the name of Captain Comet. A photo taken of him that day captured the public's heart with the promise of tomorrow. Ironic, seeing as how all he did was get his nuts crunched, while Libby, a woman, was the one who actually brought down Dynaman. Still, he's brave, new. Like I say, he represents, he is the future. And Comet isn't the only one. Other heroes are coming forth, leaping into the headlines with an almost monotonous regularity. Young heroes, young faces, young powers. And it's their turn, their time. For them, a new age as fresh and clear and bright as sterling silver. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go, I would like to point out, oh, there's a Elongator Man. Hey, look, Metamorpho. Adam Strange, the Doom Patrol. We got Martian Manhunter. I guess this is Dr. Occult. Challengers, we got, would this be Adam Strange? Or no, that's Captain Comet, Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern.
Upper
Adam.
right corner, isn't that Adam Strange?
Yeah, Adam Strange right here, and that's Captain Comet, that's Green Arrow, so there you go. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story. Eric, yeah, like I said, let's hear it. What do you have to say?
One of the better stories I've ever read, and like I said, I'm going to give it another. I'm going to read this again soon because I did not have as much time as I would have liked, and I missed a decent amount. So,
right?
Yeah. Let's see. I thought it was the color yellow. That is the future Green Lantern. The Golden Age is his weakness is wood. Let's see. Yep, the Hal Jordan one. Okay, Venkman, we just went over it again. Has your opinion improved at all? Is it still? I don't like it.
I love the ending. I said issue 3 and issue 4. I didn't care for the long setup.
So if they kind of combined everything to one issue, you think it would have been okay?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you on that because I love the fact that they set everybody. They made even Lance a character. You know, granted, the brother once again, and Eric talked about that, was one note, but I really like.
My thing is, I don't want to read. I like actually looking at the art too, instead of having to read constantly each page. Just like it becomes a chore, especially when you're not enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay. But no, I've got to tell you, I love this. I loved reading it again, and I actually loved reading it out loud right there. That's why I didn't stop. I'm like, oh, okay, no, this is a freaking awesome story, man. What did you guys in the comment section think? What did y'all in the chat think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you like the parts where we just kind of talk about it, or do you like the parts where it was read? What should we do different? What did you like about our discussions and so forth? I want to know that as well. But how did y'all feel about the story on a whole? That's what I'm looking for.
See, I forgot that Ellen his weakness is wood. I forgot about that because when he hit him with a tree, I'm like, this is like the Hulk would do, and I'm just gonna hit you with a tree. It's like
that did it. That did it. MK says thought it was an okay story. Okay, I enjoyed it. Solid story, says Joe Rogers. That's what I was wondering. Does it live up to your expectations?
I wonder what they would do if DC actually animated this. They'd probably make it a little more campy, and I can imagine that scene where he gets Alan's guy. He's like, "Oh crap!" and then he gets hit. It's like they're gonna put that.
Could be. Hey, wrong kind of wood, guys.
I wonder if this story just appeals more to older readers.
Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah, because. If you came into comics in the age of the Venoms and the Carnages and stuff like that, this may not really be anything that you would consider riveting per se. But I said if you're like an old curmudgeon like me, I like the setup. I like what it built towards, and it had a satisfying path. And being an Elseworld story, they were allowed to kill people.
Yeah.
So that lent the story even more weight. And I'd say, James Robinson in the first half of the 90s was as good a comic book writer as the industry had. Whether it was
and in the 2000s.
I don't know how far into the 2000s because his drug use got the better of him, and he sucked hard for a while.
James Robinson?
Yes. Yeah, the Airboy miniseries he wrote, that was a self-insert.
Oh, you know what?
And he admitted it.
Actually, I just realized I was thinking about somebody else. So never mind.
But he wrote Firearm for Malibu, the Ultraverse, and I'm sure. Yeah, I know there's some things I'm forgetting, but oh yeah, there was that little series, Starman,
which is freaking awesome.
I mean, seriously, it didn't get better than him for several years. I would say this is if this isn't the best thing he's ever written, it's right up there.
I don't know. I think this is his magnum opus. Now, Starman, though, if you argued that was it, I would not argue with you.
It's hard to you got one self-contained 4-issue story versus I think that one lasted 80.
Oh, yeah, so he's still writing apparently.
Oh yeah, he wrote the last good Wonder Woman arc in Rebirth.
I was gonna say he wrote Nick Fury.
before DC changed the rules and only gay men and women are allowed to write her.
Which is just made her not
He was,
as
he was
good.
writing in a Flashpoint. He did.
Yeah, this was 2018, I think, when he was writing Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and then he did the Batman Hellboy Starman crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see. We're getting, despite the love of communists, it's a great story. As I said, it hits some of the same notes as Watchmen, and but not quite as dark, says LK. Needs more Garrick, says Emerald. Yep. Sebastian says, I like the format, and I prefer this story over Kingdom Come and Marvels, which we may, you know what, we are going to see those stories later. There's no way we're missing out on those. Ed's saying, I really liked it. It's a story for... I really liked it. Is it a story for a kid to read? I don't think so. A little dark. Maranya saying, wow, this is the kind of story that couldn't be told today without ramming the message down the throats. This feels like a bunch of era-appropriate movies strung together in picture form. It's very cinematic. And Sebastian is saying the JSA, Robinson's JSA run was incredible. Starman as well. I love the Starman book. Almost choked when Eric said he sucked hard for a while. He was really that bad.
Yes, he was.
Robinson also had a run for Wildcats when Wildstorm was around before Jim Lee sold it to DC. And LK said, yes, very cinematic. And for some reason, I thought that there was a DC animated movie already, but I think I'm thinking New Frontier, which I have never read, by the way. I've seen the movie, but I've never read. So at some point in time, we may have to do that one. But because I know those books are really thick, we may have to cut that one into 2 episodes.
You get 2?
Yeah, this one is actually 2 hours 35. I usually
I'm saying only 2. I mean, New Frontier's an encyclopedia.
I saw it. Yeah, you're right. But I usually like to keep these shows an hour and 30 minutes. To tell you the truth, because I understand sometimes we don't get a big initial watch, but we do get people after the video's been posted. But people are afraid of a 3, 4, 5, 6, and yes, we have 7-hour videos. So yeah, I like to keep them around an hour and a half.
Oh, ain't that bad.
I need some Invaders love, especially from Roy Thomas. Says Emerald Centaurian. I'll tell you what, though, that Emerald Invaders run that was just a few years back is really good. Curious how you feel feel about V for Vendetta. I think that is the hidden treasure of the Alan Moore. Everybody brings up Watchmen, but I've always liked V for Vendetta better.
Never read it.
Which now we'll have to do a couple episodes on that one. I was thinking, though, of... doing Legends. What do you think of Legends? I mean, I know you like the story there, Eric. What do you think about covering it for next week? Do you have the trade?
Yeah.
All right. And VENKMAN, I assume you haven't read it.
I have no idea what Legends is. You're talking about Legends of the Dark Knight or Legends?
No, it was a series that came out right on the heels of Man of Steel.
Okay, yeah. So it's not Tom Cruise.
No, it's the one that introduces. It's basically an introduction of the new DC.
Hold on, let me write these stories down.
Legends right here. Let's see. Okay, this is the 80s.
Yeah, Byrne does the art, and I think Ostrander's the writer on it.
John Byrne and Jose Deblo were doing the art, and then you had Joe Orlando and John Astor and Lynn Wine were doing writing.
There you go. And we got V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta, and let's see what else was.
I don't mind that because that I said that's 1986-97. That's right after the Man of Steel stuff.
And Gotham by Gaslight. Alrighty, get that written down as well, so we know something. But
anytime I look at John Byrne stuff from the 80s, it screams 80s.
Doesn't it though?
Yeah,
yeah. He's really good about that. He really is.
He owned the decade.
Yep.
Straight up from 1980 through 1988.
Like I said, that's what kind of me got into his Man of Steel redoing everything. That's what got me interested in reading Superman comic books. Otherwise, I didn't care.
Well, if you think about it, he started the decade with Claremont on the X-Men, went to the Fantastic Four, than to Superman. So I said that you'd be hard pressed to find anybody that did that much. Again, omitting Stan and Jack, because nobody measures up there. But no one had a better creative period, I think, than Byrne in the 80s.
All right.
Yeah. And if I didn't know this, up until after, as soon as Tom King left, it was the first time I picked up an actual Batman book. Any Batman book was by Tinian. Otherwise,
Right.
I never. And so now I'm reading more Batman books because, like, I like, I read Scott Snyder thing. What I bought the books, trades that you sold, New 52, loving those. I just recently picked up the Legends of the Dark Knight, the new ones. The ones that are the digital first. They're now releasing them now in print, and I'm liking it.
And MK is saying, long Halloween. Is it worth it? Yes. Yes, it is. I've already thought about doing a long Halloween, but I want to do it
Closer to Halloween.
to Halloween. Yeah. And I was actually thinking on the other channel, I'm going to do it on every holiday for a year. Why not?
No,
Let's do a gimmick.
I had to shave the stash, MK, because I wanted to grow it longer, and I'm just going to just do
There you go.
the long handlebars.
You're going to do a Fu Manchu kind of thing all the way down. Yeah.
Then I'll do like that.
A good short one is Hawkeye Free Fall, says Emerald Centaurian. Let's see. We got Legends to do. We got a few. But yeah, thanks guys for hanging out with us. I think it's a lot of fun. I've been loving these live streams where we've been focusing more on comic books or comic book topics rather than we do drama and stories on Monday night. We've got issues and all that kind of stuff, but otherwise we've been leaving it to the books.
Well, that's the thing though. Reading these books, people have never heard of these books. You're learning stuff. Then we could just talk about it, but you're actually showing it, going through it. People are like, and discovering, you know what? This is the book I got honestly gonna buy now.
I've been enjoying doing the top 10s. I do want to get back to covering comics, but just needed a day off on Wednesday. This
is much more fun than just watching somebody talk about like for 10 minutes. This is the origins of John Constantine. John Constantine was in this and then this. I'm like, that's cool, bro.
That's exactly what I do. Thank you for underselling my video channel, man. Yourself. All right.
I'm not saying a lot of people do that though. A lot of people do what you do, and it's like you find one that you like. If you like
I actually talked to a kid today. He was asking me about it, and I said, "Look, until you have enough subs, you are not the star of the show. So it's the topic that you're talking about, but that gets them in. You got to hold them yourself. The best way to do it is be sincere."
Like I said, I love Throwback Thursdays, and it's pretty much it's for comic books. There's a lot of stuff I haven't read over, so going through the stuff, and it's fun to talk about it too, because there's a lot of people like me, like I've never read this. There's people like you that have read it. Yep. I love experiencing new things, and you get to relive something.
Alrighty, and there we go. So, hello.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I thought I accidentally shut it down. If you can, VENKMAN, check out Mudpack. It's what got me started collecting Batman. That would be an interesting story to go to. Now, once again, I'm going to close this out because we're at 2:42. But gang, thank you very much for helping out the conversation, for keeping it going, for even the chat about baseball, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if I still, you didn't get the whole story because we did talk over and kind of pass some. So give it a read. I don't think knowing the ending is going to bother you on this one. It really is that good. So check it out. Next week, Legends. We'll do Legends. That'd be all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I've been wanting to do that since you mentioned it was your one of your favorites. Also, it's a commission video. So, hey, why not? I kill two birds, one stone. So there you go.
Twiddles.
Yeah, I've been trying to kill him with a stone for a long time now. Anyway, once again, gang, thank you very much. I'm going to write down the suggestion of Mudpack as well. Once again, guys, thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you to RDV and Eric Breen for helping me with the chat tonight. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. You guys have a great night.
Good night.